The Leopard/Panther Heavenly Lord continuously interfered, launching soul attacks towards Lin Mou time and time again. This kind of attack was troublesome, not very powerful, but each time it could make the soul momentarily lose focus. In actual combat, it might not be effective. But for harassment, its effect was too strong. Lin Mou, who had been through numerous battles, was also disgusted for a moment. With killing intent rising in his heart, "You are seeking death." Seeing the flying fish about to arrive, Lin Mou angrily shouted in his heart, and the brocade clothes lich immediately appeared. The brocade clothes lich caught what the Leopard Heavenly Lord threw, activated the brocade clothes night travel, and disappeared without a trace. The flying fish suddenly lost its target, paused in the air for half a second, then changed direction and continued to chase after the Leopard Heavenly Lord. The Leopard Heavenly Lord was stunned. He didn't understand why the flying fish would come after him again. "No, where is that thing?" The Leopard Heavenly Lord suddenly noticed that the thing he threw out was missing. His gaze met Lin Mou's in the void, and the Leopard Heavenly Lord suddenly felt uneasy, realizing that something was wrong. "It's that kid's trick." The Leopard Heavenly Lord was horrified. He guessed that Lin Mou was up to something, but didn't know how Lin Mou did it. The flying fish was now flying towards him again at an astonishing speed, and he had to flee for his life again. Lin Mou naturally knew what was going on. After the brocade clothes lich obtained the item, he activated the brocade clothes night travel and flew towards the Leopard Heavenly Lord. Although the flying fish couldn't see it, it could sense the location of the item and naturally followed it. Through the brocade clothes lich's perspective, Lin Mou finally saw what the item was. A fish bone. His mouth twitched slightly. It turned out to be a fish bone with a special pattern on it, the fish bone that the king of the world ocean tasked them to find. So, he got a piece of fish bone. The flying fish isn't actually chasing after the Leopard Heavenly Lord, but tracking the fish bone. Indeed, fish bones aren't so easy to obtain. After the brocade clothes lich activated the brocade clothes night travel, its speed was extremely fast, quickly catching up to the Leopard Heavenly Lord. The Leopard Heavenly Lord was unaware of the brocade clothes lich's arrival. To him, the flying fish tracking the fish bone seemed like it was chasing after him. Lin Mou's gaze was icy. "Now it's my turn." With a gentle point, the bone hell appeared, enveloping the Leopard Heavenly Lord. Suddenly, hell appeared before his eyes, causing the Leopard Heavenly Lord's expression to change drastically. Then, the Eye of the Undead gazed and launched a soul attack on the Leopard Heavenly Lord. The Leopard Heavenly Lord let out a miserable scream, feeling intense pain in his soul, and his speed suddenly slowed down. In the midst of intense pain, the Leopard Heavenly Lord looked towards Lin Mou, his eyes full of intense killing intent. Lin Mou sneered, "Soul attacks, I can do that too." His whole body burst into a dazzling light, transforming into a giant leopard that instantly tore through the bone hell. Facing a mid-tier heavenly lord, the bone hell of the Supreme Realm could only harass and was far from enough to stop him. Lin Mou never thought he could harm him. It was normal for the bone hell to be torn apart. This delay brought the flying fish closer. Helplessly, the Leopard Heavenly Lord could only temporarily suppress his anger and continue to flee. A smile appeared on Lin Mou's lips. "This is just an appetizer. It's time for the main course now." Indeed, the bone hell was just an appetizer. Apart from launching a soul attack once, it was merely to complete its marking. Snap! A crisp snap of the fingers, and flames engulfed the world. 100 skeleton kings appeared in the void, locking onto the Leopard Heavenly Lord, simultaneously raising their bone swords in unison. Behind the skeleton kings emerged a rule world, bleak and terrifying. Spell, Bone Divine Slash. The Leopard Heavenly Lord suddenly felt danger approaching, turned his head to look, and saw the skeleton kings standing in the void beside Lin Mou. 100 low-tier heavenly lords swung their swords towards him. Not good. The Leopard Heavenly Lord screamed, and sword brilliance lit up on his body again as his soul suffered another attack. The laws of bones rushed into his rule world, launching a fierce attack on it. The attack penetrated into his soul from the rule world, causing him unbearable pain. At the same time, his body was also enduring the attacks of 100 bone divine slashes, creating a hole in it. At one point, flesh and blood flew everywhere, the blood of a heavenly lord splatter in the sky. The blood that fell onto the ground was boiling and burning like lava. The blood of a heavenly lord is enough to kill even the sages, but now, it was flowing out like it cost nothing. The brocade clothes lich took flight. It swiftly flew to the leopard heavenly lord's wound and stuffed the fish bone into it. Because his soul was being attacked by the laws of bones, the leopard heavenly lord didn't even notice the brocade clothes lich's actions. By the time he struggled out of the pain, the flying fish had arrived. The flying fish vibrated its wings, slashing out countless attacks, each one causing space to tremble and countless cracks to appear. Under the flying fish's attacks, countless laws were annihilated. The leopard heavenly lord screamed in terror and fled with his wounds once again. He was truly afraid. Lin Mou's methods were too bizarre. He felt that if he continued playing around, he would die. Lin Mou lightly chuckled, "It's not over yet." The sound of Buddhist chants echoed, and the Buddhist lich flew out. In the eternal Buddhist realm, a millions of believers turned into ashes, offering themselves to the Buddha. Lin Mou flicked 10 drops of ancestral water onto the Buddhist lich. The aura of the Buddhist lich instantly surpassed the peak supreme realm, entering the heavenly lord realm. Spell, Great Tao of Destiny. The Great Tao of Destiny appeared, locking onto the future fate of the leopard heavenly lord. The leopard heavenly lord's hackles rose, feeling danger approaching from the depths of his soul, even more dangerous than before. What has he done? What has he done? The leopard heavenly lord roared in his heart, but the flying fish was tightly chasing after him, and he couldn't do anything, not even have time to look back. The Buddhist lich raised its fist, merging a millions of believers and 10 drops of ancestral water, launching an attack towards the future of the leopard heavenly lord from the Great Tao of Destiny. Whether it was a coincidence or intentional, the timing of the Buddhist lich was excellent. It was precisely the moment when the leopard heavenly lord was most vulnerable. Lin Mou vaguely saw the scene in the Great Tao of Destiny. At some future point, the leopard heavenly lord would be severely injured and barely clinging to life. However, only if there was time. With the abilities of a mid-tier heavenly lord, he could still recover. Unfortunately, the fatal blow of the Buddhist lich arrived, completely crushing the leopard heavenly lord's hope. With a punch, the leopard heavenly lord in the Great Tao of Destiny was smashed to pieces, and the damage descended along the Great Tao of Destiny, manifesting in the present world in an incomprehensible manner. The fleeing leopard heavenly lord suddenly let out a cry of despair as countless wounds erupted on his body, blood raining down like a storm. His soul was also heavily damaged, with some of the wounds caused by the attacks. This was the terror of the power of abstract and tangible, not knowing where the attack was coming from, killing the enemy in an invisible manner. His vision darkened, and he almost fainted on the spot, falling from the sky. At this moment, another wave of intense pain struck as the flying fish's attack landed. Its wings, sharp as blades, sliced through the leopard heavenly lord's body, cutting him in two. Blood mixed with internal organs dripped from the wound, along with the fish bone, falling to the ground together. The flying fish immediately turned around and no longer paid any attention to the leopard heavenly lord, directly chasing after the fish bone. The severed half of the leopard heavenly lord's body fell heavily onto an island. His body and soul were both severely injured, barely clinging to life. Lin Mou approached him, his expression indifferent as he looked down on him. "You're about to die, but unfortunately, I don't even know your name. Do you have any last words you want me to convey? I'll give you this opportunity." The leopard heavenly lord seemed to have realized his fate as well, his voice trembling. "Really? Nope." Lin Mou's cold voice shattered his last hope, and the skeleton king simultaneously raised its bone sword, not only killing the body but also exterminating the heart. Half of the body of the leopard clan heavenly lord, together with his soul, was chopped into mud and completely destroyed. The other half of his body was put away by Lin Moyu and turned into his weapon. At the same time, the leopard clan heavenly lord also has a storage method. Bao, it was a bracelet and was not damaged in the attack. Lin Moyu also put it away and would see what was inside together in the future. The ocean exploded with a bang, sending thousands of meters of water into the sky. The lich dressed in brocade rushed out of the ocean with the fish bones in hand. The flying fish chased after him, and countless attacks swept across the sky. The lich in brocade clothes holds a fish bone in his hand and wears a great robe. With the Avenue Blessing activated, he barely resisted Feiyu's attack, but he couldn't block a few attacks. Before the fish bones fell, Lin Moyu asked the lich and lich to catch up and get the fish bones before Feiyu. How could I give up so easily after finally finding a fish bone? Lin Moyu wanted everything he chose this time, let alone the fish bones, even the flying fish. Lin Moyu didn't plan to let go. He has his own considerations. The high-level heavenly lord of the human race has murderous intentions towards him. If he encounters him, it will not be easy to deal with him. Before that, more preparations must be made. The corpse of the intermediate heavenly lord is naturally the best weapon. The genie lich was in a bit of a panic under Feiyu's pursuit. The gap in strength between the two was too great. Even with the blessing of the great Tao, he could only hold on for a short while. Lin Moyu snapped his fingers, and a sea of fire popped up. In the sea of fire, 400 skeleton kings emerged together, like a terrifying army. Including the previous 100 skeleton kings, Lin Moyu summoned all 500 skeleton kings for the first time. The greater the number of skeleton kings, the stronger their combat power will be when they increase each other's strength. 500 skeleton kings can increase the skeleton king's combat power by at least twice, almost reaching the limit of a low-level heavenly lord. Although there is still a distance between the mid-level Tianzuan and the quality is not enough, then the quantity will be enough. Also appearing with the skeleton king was Kujun. Cut! Lin Moyu's heart moved, and hundreds of skeleton kings raised their swords at the same time to lock the flying fish. Technique, bone-killing god. The world of rules emerged, the white bones turned into sharp blades, and a terrifying sword was struck. The sword light exploded on Feiyu's body, exploding large pieces of flesh and blood. At the same time, the soul was also attacked by the law of bones, with dense wounds appearing on the body and a large number of fish scales exploding. Even its wings had cracks like spider webs. Feiyu screamed and turned his head to look at Lin Moyu. Its eyes were full of bloodlust, but the next second, it continued to chase the lich in brocade. Although it was attacked, it still put the fish bones first. This scene made Lin Moyu guess, are fish bones really that important? The king of the realm sea needs fish bones, and even flying fish value fish bones so much. What is the use of this fish bone, and what secrets are there? Curious in my heart, the skeleton king's sword didn't stop. Another 100 skeleton kings raised their swords to slash down, and another 100 swords struck the bone god in unison. Feiyu screamed again, making a sharp cry. The injury this time was more serious than before. There was a huge wound on the body, and blood flowed out crazily from it, dyeing the ocean red. Feiyu looked over angrily, his eyes weeping with blood, and his murderous intent was stronger than before. Lin Moyu could see that it was hesitating whether to continue chasing the fish bones or turn around and kill him. The lich in brocade was hanging far away with the fish bones, always keeping a considerable distance from Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu had a vague feeling of returning to the dungeon to fight the boss. This style of play was somewhat similar to the previous kite-flying style. Both ends attract hatred, making the boss not know which end to pay attention to. Feiyu turned around again and locked the fish bones again. The moment he turned around, the third group of skeleton kings raised their bone swords. Suddenly, the wings of the flying fish vibrated violently, and the speed of the flying fish reached its peak in an instant. As if teleporting, it suddenly appeared in the sky above Lin Moyu, its wings vibrated, and attacks fell like raindrops. A large number of cracks appeared in the space, and the attacks were like sharp blades, cutting the heaven and earth. The island where Lin Moyu was located was chopped to pieces on the spot and sank with a roar. Countless dust rose into the sky. The Skeleton King used his sword as a shield to stand in front of him and kill Feiyu. Kujun stood in front of Lin Moyu and blocked most of Lin Moyu's attacks. As a resurrector, Kujun has no fear of death, let alone injury. His body suffered numerous wounds during the attack, but no blood flowed from them. This attack is really strong. Not bad, not bad. With you, many things will be easier to handle. Lin Moyu's eyes were bright. In terms of attack alone, Feiyu's attack was undoubtedly the best among the mid-level Tianzuan. Even high-level supreme beings may not be able to block its attacks. Although the attack method is very monotonous, the most important thing is practicality. Especially after becoming a resurrector, the attack will be even higher. Just think about how terrifying a thug with powerful attacks and no fear of death can be. The Skeleton King has already reached Feiyu's side, and 500 Skeleton Kings have surrounded Feiyu. Feiyu attacked crazily and slashed out countless invisible sharp blades. The Skeleton King couldn't stop it and was injured one after another. For a moment, bones were like rain, and the bones of the Skeleton King were cut off and became disabled. However, this does not affect the Skeleton King's combat power. As long as he can still raise his sword, the Skeleton King's combat power will not be damaged. The sword light exploded crazily, and wounds appeared one after another on Feiyu's body. The bone-slaying god fell on Feiyu again and again, carrying the law of bones, and the body and soul attacked at the same time. Kujun also joined the battle group. After all, he was a mid-level heavenly lord, and his attack power was still higher than that of the Skeleton King. He could withstand dozens of Skeleton Kings by himself. With Kujun in check, Skeleton King's pressure was significantly reduced. Feiyu was trapped in an encirclement and it seemed difficult to break out, but Lin Moyu felt that it was still not safe enough. Snapping his fingers again, the dragon riders went into battle. Tens of billions of dragon cavalry formed thousands of legions, overwhelming the sky and surrounding Feiyu for who knows how many layers. Feiyu was completely trapped, with no possibility of a breakthrough. Under the command of the Legion commander, the Dragon Cavalry Legion continuously launched charging attacks against Feiyu, causing Feiyu to scream repeatedly. The Death Dragon's breath spits out and roasts the flying fish. Regardless of whether it is useful or not, the main purpose is harassment. The White Bone battle formation was raised, the White Bone laws gathered into a sea, and the world suddenly turned into a world of white bones. Wang Qian's endless attacks are constantly eroding Feiyu's vitality. Finally, after more than 10 minutes, Feiyu ended its life and was killed by Lin Moyu's human sea tactics. This is like an ant eating an elephant. Lin Moyu smiled and popped up the immortal flame. Origin level spell, Valley of Resurrection of the Dead. The flying fish that had just died was immediately resurrected in the flames. As far as high-level Tianzuan, its aura is stronger than before it was alive, and it almost touches the flying fish. Its attack power is extremely strong, but its defense power is weak. Lin Moyu feels that after becoming a resurrector, the flying fish's attack power can already pose a threat to high-level Tianzuan. As for defense, because of being a resurrector, he is fearless of death, and his shortcomings in this area have also been smoothed out a lot. Moreover, it will self-destruct before dying. The power of self-destruction is estimated to be unbearable even by high-level deities. Lin Moyu put away the undead army and jumped onto the flying fish. With such a gold medal fighter, it would be much easier for him to move in the special space. The skeleton generals are still exploring this space. This space is obviously larger than the previous one, and it will take time to explore. The Lichen Brocade brought the fish bones back and handed them to Lin Moyu. The fish bone feels warm and moist, just like the finest jade. As long as you touch it, you can feel its extraordinary quality. There is a beautiful pattern on the fish bone. The pattern seems to be runes, but it is not a talisman. Lin Moyu had never seen this pattern before, and he felt a mysterious and powerful power from the pattern. This force is like a law, but it is not a law. Its way of existence is beyond Lin Moyu's understanding. Lin Moyu could feel its grandeur and power, but could not really touch it. This is not my power, I can't covet it. Lin Moyu felt awestruck in his heart. The king of Jihai dared them to search for fish bones and was not afraid of them stealing them. He must have a way to control them. Facing a terrifying figure who might be even more powerful than an ordinary Taoist, Lin Moyu didn't dare to gamble. Lin Moyu stood on the flying fish and asked in a low voice, "Are there any other fish bones here?" Flying fish has no intelligence. Although it is powerful, it only has some simple instincts. It seemed that it didn't quite understand what Lin Moyu meant and was very confused. Lin Moyu waved the fish bone in front of the flying fish. "Do you have any more of this?" This time the flying fish seemed to understand. He shook his head first, but then nodded again. He shook his head and nodded, wondering if he had or not. After asking a few more questions, the answers I got were all specious. Lin Moyu thought for a while and roughly understood what the flying fish meant. The fish bones are gone in this space, but they are still there in other places. Just as Lin Moyu was asking, a skeleton god suddenly lost contact. The skeleton god general is not dead, but simply lost contact. Lin Moyu immediately rushed to the place where the skeleton god general lost contact. He stood on the flying fish and the flying fish took him away. Soon, he came to the place where contact was lost and saw a slightly distorted space. Through the laws of space, Lin Moyu could probably feel that the space here formed a passage leading back to other places. There should be a powerful force that divides the entire special space into many small spaces. These small spaces are not completely disconnected, but are connected in a special way. And the fish bones that the king of the Boundary Sea is looking for are distributed among these small spaces. Lin Moyu wanted to go there, but he knew that once he passed there, he might not be able to come back here again. So before going there, you need to search all of this space to see if there is anything missing. He was not in a hurry, because the king of the sea did not set a time. More skeleton gods will fly out and start a carpet-like search of the entire space. Not sparing any island, the skeleton god will fly into the ocean and want to search the ocean. The ocean is the water of the Boundary Sea, and it comes from the water of the Boundary Sea millions of meters deep. The power contained in it is very powerful. After the skeleton god general entered, they broke into pieces within 10 seconds. Lin Moyu had to summon the skeleton king again and let the skeleton king search instead of the skeleton god general. I searched for it inch by inch, digging deep into the kitchen. Soon, the skeleton king found a cave on the bottom of the sea. The cave started from the bottom of the sea and was deep and long. Lin Moyu asked the flying fish to take him into the ocean, and the immortal golden body was fully activated, turning Lin Moyu into a burning man to resist the impact. The impact of the water of the Boundary Sea is too strong, and Immortal's entire body cannot withstand it for too long. The most troublesome thing is that the impact of the Boundary Sea water seems to contain some special rules, ignoring damage transfer and connection. All the impact will not be transferred to the undead army, and can only be borne by Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu released the stickleback that had transformed into a resurrected stickleback. The stickleback at the peak of the Supreme Realm only lasted for 5 seconds before it exploded and died. The water of the Boundary Sea will not be used to them just because they are fish. There is only one end for lack of strength, death. When he came to the cave, Lin Moyu did not go in. He just looked around and knew that the owner of the cave was the flying fish under him. And Lin Moyu figured out the whole process in his head. The flying fish usually lives in a cave, guarding the fish bones until the fish bones are robbed. Lin Moyu asked, "Is this your home?" The flying fish understood this time and nodded vigorously. Lin Moyu asked again, "Is there anything else inside?" The flying fish nodded again, then shook his head. "It seems that there is something, but it is not very important." Lin Moyu asked again, "Besides you, are there any other fish here?" The flying fish seemed to understand this time and no longer nodded, but just shook his head. Lin Mo said, "Go in and take out everything." He asked the flying fish to get the things by himself, and he immediately left the ocean. The immortal golden body has reached its limit and will break if left for a while longer. Lin Moyu stood in the sky and looked at the rolling ocean. This is not the solution. If there were such vast oceans in other spaces, I wouldn't be able to explore them. It seems that we need to get more resurrectors like flying fish and let them explore instead of the undead. Lin Moyu thought to himself, and probably had an idea. In the future, if you see fish Tianzuan here, kill as many as possible and turn them into resurrectors. A moment later, the flying fish flew out of the ocean, opened its mouth and spit out everything. It had packed up everything left at home and brought it over. Several familiar scents came to his face, and Lin Moyu's eyes lit up. Origin crystal. Among the things the flying fish brought back, there were several origin crystals, and they were not low-level ones, but fourth-level origin crystals, more than 10 pieces in total. This can be regarded as an unexpected surprise. I didn't expect to get the source crystal. The king of Boundary Sea is right. In addition to fish bones, there will be other harvests in the special space. And these harvests can be controlled by individuals. It seems that in the eyes of the flying fish, only fish bones are the most precious, and everything else is of no use, not even the origin crystal. Lin Moyu put away the source crystal and looked through the rest. It was of no value and was of no use to him. Go! After searching this space, Lin Moyu stood on the flying fish and headed for the passage. Following a short teleportation, Lin Moyu saw a vast ocean again, and at the same time, the previously lost skeleton god general was not far away. The space is similar to before, also composed of oceans and islands. Waves of light, sea water rushing. Although the world looked exactly the same, Lin Moyu still felt different. There is more than one creature in the vast ocean here. Scanning the eyes of the undead, Lin Moyu saw a lot of soul fire. These soul fires are distributed in the ocean, and there are at least tens of millions in number. These soul fires are not powerful. They are only at the level of low-level Tianzuan. They are only more powerful than the skeleton god general, but not as good as the dragon cavalry legion and the skeleton king. Lin Moyu's eyes swept across the void and saw a group of soul fires gathering in the distance, not knowing what they were doing. Lin Moyu immediately asked the lichen robe to go over to check. The lichen robe was very fast and arrived there silently. With the help of the robe lich's sight, Lin Moyu finally saw clearly what happened, and his expression changed slightly. Go over there. He gave the order to the flying fish and rushed over immediately. On an island, 2 unrecognizable corpses fell to the ground. The island was dyed red with blood. Tianzuan's blood contained huge power, and huge blood channels were pressed out on the island. The blood flowed along the blood channels towards the ocean. Countless small fish with 2 legs and as big as fists were eating the corpse. Their teeth are extremely sharp and they can tear off the flesh and blood of the corpse and eat it. Each bite is not big, and they eat not quickly. If the 2 corpses still have feelings, this must be the most terrible punishment. Lin Moyu saw this scene through the lichen brocade and rushed over immediately. The flying fish swept down with the powerful pressure of the middle-level Tianzuan, and the small bipedal fishes were frightened and fled. Humans and demons. Although the 2 corpses were completely unrecognizable, their identities could still be identified. One is the heavenly lord of the human race, and the other is the heavenly lord of the demon race. Judging from the auras left behind by the corpses, both of them were in the middle level of heaven. The flying fish scared away these 2-legged fish, and Lin Moyu fell from the sky, popping up a ball of immortal flames and landing on the body of the demon clan heavenly lord. Origin level spell, Resurrection of the Dead. The flesh and blood on the corpse quickly regenerated, and the dispersed soul also followed certain rules and began to reorganize. In the blink of an eye, the demon clan heavenly lord became a resurrected person, kneeling respectfully in front of Lin Moyu. From the appearance, he looks like a deity from the Grey Wolf line among the demon clan. Lin Moyu asked, "What's your name? Tell me what happened before and why you died here." The demon clan Heavenly Lord immediately responded, "My name is Han Feng. My subordinates found traces of fish bones and origin crystals here before. They also discovered traces of fish bones and origin crystals here, along with a deity from the human race. In order to compete for the fish bones and the origin crystal, the two of us fought. As a result, both of us were injured, and we died here in the end." Lin Moyu sounded a little strange. Although mid-level Tianzuan would be injured in a fight, it would not be easy to kill the opponent in the same realm. If one party is defeated, it will definitely run away. If the two sides are similar in strength, it is more likely that they will stop at the right time. Unless the two are mortal enemies, they will fight each other with death. And he would rather die in the final battle than use the Jihai order. Eccentric. Lin Moyu felt that something was not normal, so he popped out the immortal flame again and resurrected the dead Tianzuan of the human race. The human heavenly lord is called Xin, and his description is similar to that of Han Feng. Lin Moyu asked, "What were you two thinking at that time?" The two said in unison, "I just want to beat each other to death." The answers were very uniform, and Lin Moyu felt something was wrong even more. He realized that there might be something that affected the minds and emotions of the two people, turning the two from a fight to the death, and ultimately both lost. The most important thing is that the memories of the two people stopped abruptly after they were seriously injured. They don't even know who killed them. Lin Moyu asked, "Where is the fish bone you found?" The two of them pointed in one direction at the same time. "It's right there, on an island." Lin Moyu looked in the direction they were pointing and saw the island. The island is not far away. The island looks larger than the other islands. There is a hill on the island. On the top of the mountain, a fish bone is placed there clearly. This fish bone is quite big and stands on the top of the mountain like a sword. Anyone who is not blind can see it. According to the description of the two people, there are many origin crystals next to the fish bones. They are not low-level origin crystals, but 4th and 5th level origin crystals. Lin Moyu looked at the fish bones and wrinkled slightly, feeling that something was wrong. He asked the skeleton god to go over and get the fish bones, while he watched from a distance. The skeleton god will quickly approach, just within its distance. When the island was still 1,000 meters away, an invisible force came and impacted the soul of the skeleton god general. The skeleton god general continued to fly towards the fish bones as if he had no feeling. Lin Moyu felt this invisible force, which reached directly to the soul and could affect people's minds. He probably guessed why Xin and Han Feng had a life and death contest, because they were influenced by this invisible force. The invisible power is very obscure, and you may not be able to sense it unless your spiritual sense is sharp enough. It's a pity that the skeleton god general has no thoughts of his own, and his soul will not be affected by bewitchment. Lin Moyu whispered softly, "Bewitching is ineffective. I want to see how you deal with it." With only 100 meters left, the skeleton god general suddenly couldn't get closer, as if he was blocked by a force. Then the fish bones lit up, the space rippled, and the skeleton god general was blown to pieces with a bang. Lin Moyu was slightly startled. When the fish bone lit up just now, the pattern on it was very conspicuous. At the same time, a mysterious and powerful force rushed out from the fish bone. The skeleton god general had no resistance. Previously, flying fish only instinctively valued fish bones, but did not know how to use them. But the unknown existence here can use the power in the fish bones. There's trouble. Lin Moyu thought quickly about what to do, and asked at the same time, "How did you two get here?" The two talked about how they came here. Han Feng found a stone, broke the stone, and came here. Xin got into a lake. There was a whirlpool in the lake, and he came here through the whirlpool. The two have yet to find a way forward. Lin Moyu didn't think about the fish bones for the time being, but instead asked the skeleton god general to look for any passages to other spaces. At the same time, he aimed at the small bipedal fish. He had thought before that he wanted to find some creatures to explore the ocean. These little bipedal fish look small and not very strong, but they can survive in this vast ocean. 0. The key is that there are enough of them to replace the skeleton god general. Lin Moyu summoned the Skeleton King, and at the same time asked Kujun, Xin and Han Feng to take action to hunt the bipedal fish together. He wants to start creating an army of resurrectors composed of bipedal fish. And let them avoid the island with the fish bones and not go to each other for the time being. A large-scale hunting was going on in this space. There were many small bipedal fishes, but they were not concentrated and could not stop the Skeleton King from hunting. Under the bone sword, each small bipedal fish was quickly killed, and the bodies were brought back to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu discovered that the bipedal fish was not very powerful, and its attack methods were relatively simple. Its only way of attacking is to spit out the two fangs in the fish's mouth as sharp arrows. After spitting out their fangs, they can immediately sprout new ones. The fangs seem to be able to keep spitting out. The power of the fangs is not small, a real low-level heavenly lord. If the skeleton god comes, he will be killed in at most 2 hits. However, no matter how they resisted, they could not stop the attack of the Skeleton King and the 3 mid-level heavenly lords. A raging flame ignited in front of Lin Moyu, and the 2-legged fish turned into resurrectors one after another in the flames and became Lin Moyu's subordinates. Bipedal fish are also without intelligence, but it doesn't matter, as long as they can complete the instructions they give. After becoming resurrected, the bipedal fishes were once again excited. They formed groups and began to attack other bipedal fishes. A feast of cannibalism for small bipedal fishes begins. With the addition of the Resurrection Core, the efficiency of killing the bipedal fishes has been further accelerated. And as the number of resurrected people increases, the efficiency will continue to accelerate. Lin Moyu was a little surprised as to why these little bipedal fishes without intelligence could be promoted to Heavenly Lord. They have no rules in the world, no laws, only some instincts, but they actually have the combat power of the Tianzuan realm. The same was true for the flying fish. The flying fish's combat power was as high as a mid-level Tianzuan, but he still had no wisdom. This situation is very unusual. Normally, when you reach the Tianzuan realm, you can always awaken some wisdom. And there is neither a world of rules nor laws. How did they become deities? Lin Moyu had been thinking about this question from the beginning, and had been thinking about it since he entered the World Sea, but he never got an answer. The stickleback fish in the sea are actually in the same situation. They have no wisdom, but they can reach the pinnacle. And some stickleback fish will also have 687 in their bodies to cultivate the original crystal. How on earth this was done was really strange and completely violated his common sense. When he really couldn't figure it out, Lin Moyu could only comfort himself. Maybe this is the magic of the origin continent. More and more bipedal fish become resurrectors, and the efficiency is no longer improving. One day later, the skeleton god explored this space clearly. Above the ocean, in the void, there is no way out to other spaces. Except for the island where the fish bones are located, there is nothing special about the other islands. In this case, there are only 2 places left, namely the island where the fish bones are located and the ocean. Lin Moyu was not in a hurry. In just one day, 1/3 of the bipedal fishes had become resurrected, with the number reaching over 3 million. Judging from this situation, in a day or so, all the bipedal fishes in this space will become resurrected. When the time comes, let them explore the ocean. In a day or 2 at most, the ocean will be fully explored. One day later, almost all the bipedal fishes became resurrected. The legions of resurrectors composed purely of them number in the tens of millions. A legion composed of tens of millions of low-level heavenly lords is enough to destroy the ordinary power sects on the original continent. During the entire process, there was no movement on the island where the fish bones were located. It had no intention of stopping Lin Moyu at all. The death of these bipedal fishes had nothing to do with it. Lin Moyu also didn't provoke it. You don't care about me, and I won't provoke you either. Until all the bipedal fishes in the ocean became his own, Lin Moyu began to let them search the world and the ocean. 2 days later, tens of millions of small bipedal fishes had fully explored the ocean. There is nothing in the vast ocean, and there is no exit to other spaces. Now, there were only 2 options before Lin Moyu. One is to go to the island with the fish bones, and the other is to use the Ein Hai command to leave. In fact, Lin Moyu could indeed choose to leave right now, and he had already reaped the rewards this time. An army of resurrectors composed of tens of millions of low-level gods, 3 mid-level resurrectors including the flying fish, a dozen pieces of 4th-level origin, and a fish bone. The harvest seems to be quite big, but Lin Lishi and Wu Fuku don't want to be surprised and give up. He approached the island with caution in his heart. The soul clings to the mind, and the scepter of natural disaster is firmly held in the hand. To deal with soul attacks, responding to the scepter is the final guarantee. When he was still 1,000 meters away from the island, an invisible force swept out and rushed into Lin Moyu's world of rules, reaching straight to his soul. The soul was absent-minded for a while, and a strong desire to fight rose from the depths of the soul. His soul began to lose control, and Lin Moyu only had one thought, which was to fight. Wow! Roar! The world tree shook violently, and streams of pure air fell on the soul. The colorful dragon soul crystal let out a dragon roar, and sprayed out dragon breath and fell on the soul. The soul body bloomed with earthy yellow light, and the defense that the natural disaster scepter once blessed the soul body automatically activated. The soul woke up with a jolt, and was extremely shocked. This kind of attack actually ignored the rules of the world and went straight to the soul. If he hadn't had a lot of tricks, he might have been lost. What a weird attack. What kind of power is this? This kind of attack is hard to guard against. Even a mid-level heavenly lord will be invisibly bewitched and become a madman who only wants to fight. Xin and Han Feng were like this. Affected by this invisible force, they were both seriously injured in the battle. But the attack that killed them in the end was unknown. Lin Moyu continued to approach, getting closer and closer to the island. When he was still 500 meters away, Lin Moyu's eyes lit up. A stream of origin aura rushed towards my face, and on the top of the mountain, there were more than 20 origin crystals. Among them, there are 6 or 7 pieces of 5th-order origin crystals. The most important thing is that there is a strange piece of metal in the original crystal. The metal exudes a hazy mist, constantly changing with various types of outside dogs. The moment he saw the metal, Lin Moyu realized that it was a spiritual material that Infinite Fusion liked. Sure enough, Infinite Fusion buzzed and vibrated in the next second. It seemed to wake up from its deep sleep after smelling the fragrance of food. Lin Moyu could feel that it had not fully recovered, and the stone insect it had absorbed before was not enough for it to fully recover. Infinite Fusion, fly to the soul and keep circling. Lin Moyu smiled and said, want it? Infinite Fusion swings up and down, as if to say, yes, yes. It is like a child, asking for delicious food from itself. Lin's silent words cannot be refused. Okay, I'll find a way to get it for you. Lin Yu agreed, Infinite Fusion. Originally, he could leave, but he didn't have to get the fish bones. Even if it was the origin crystal, Lin Moyu could give up. But with the addition of Infinite Fusion, Lin Moyu felt that she had to satisfy the little guy's request. After all, Infinite Fusion has done a lot for me, so I can't treat it badly. Lin Moyu continued to approach the island and stopped when he was still 150 meters away. Go forward another 50 meters, which is the distance where the skeleton god was killed before. He knew he would be attacked once too. Time and space converge to form the power of time and space, wrapping itself around itself. After getting ready, Lin Moyu continued to fly forward. Soon, with 100 meters left, Lin Moyu encountered an empty wall blocking his way. Immediately afterwards, the fish bones lit up, blooming with a bright 1.8 ray of light, and a force rushed out from the fish bones, stirring the space. Lin Moyu was already prepared. The power of time and space was activated. The power of the fish bone fell on the body and passed through the body without causing any harm to Lin Moyu. Although he is still standing here, he is not actually in this time and space. When the space returned to normal, Lin Moyu also returned to the same time and space, and the flying fish appeared beside him. The flying fish vibrated its wings, let out a sharp scream, and launched countless attacks, landing on the invisible wall. The invisible wall was shaped by the flying fish's attack. It was like a cover, covering the entire island. With a soft sound like glass breaking, the invisible wall was shattered. At this time, the fish bones lit up again, and the space attack came again. Lin Moyu immediately took back the flying fish and at the same time allowed himself to enter the room wait time control. The attack failed again, and the island shook violently, setting off huge waves. Amid the roar, the island came alive. In an instant, countless scarlet water arrows burst out. Lin Moyu's expression suddenly changed and he quickly retreated. At the same time, the power of time and space surged rapidly to keep himself in another time and space. There were too many scarlet water arrows, and their speed was equally astonishing. Lin Moyu had no time to react before he was penetrated by the water arrows. Time and space were broken, the immortal golden body was shattered on the spot, and Lin Moyu stumbled back to the living world. These scarlet water arrows actually broke the boundaries of time and space and beat him out forcefully. The huge power of the water arrows caused heavy damage to the Guangling Legion. Fortunately, due to the huge effect of damage transfer, Lin Moyu withstood the first wave of attacks and retreated hundreds of miles. The island shook violently, and countless gravel rolled down, revealing the true face of the island. The water of the boundary sea glowed with red light, not blood color, but a bright red. An extremely gorgeous red coral appeared in Lin Moyu's sight. This kind of red penetrates the soul and has an inexplicable attraction. People will be firmly attracted at the first sight. Lin Moyu Station 0800s of miles away, in the world of rules, the world tree is swaying crazily, spreading boundless fresh air. The 10-colored dragon soul crystals also emitted bursts of dragon roars, helping Lin Moyu resist the power of bewitchment. The two worked together, coupled with Lin Moyu's firm Taoism, which kept his soul awake and unaffected. Han Feng, Exin, and Kujun appeared next to Lin Moyu at the same time. Lin Moyu asked in a low voice, "Do you know what this is?" Kujun didn't answer. As a middle-level Tianzuan of Luozi's sect, he didn't know about this. Han Feng didn't know either, but luckily he got the answer from Exin. This is red charm coral. It is a material in the world sea. It can be used to refine elixirs and magic weapons. Many of the Wantsek's magic weapons are made from red charm coral. Lin Moyu listened to the answer, and it turned out to be a material used for refining alchemy and refining weapons. Obviously, the red charm coral in front of me is not simple. It has awakened part of its spiritual wisdom and is no longer an ordinary material. And it absorbs the power of the original crystal and fish bones, making it very powerful. The origin crystals, fish bones, and spiritual materials are stuck inside the coral. If you want to get them, you must break the coral. Lin Moyu looked at red charm coral, his eyes flashing. Its strength should still be in the category of mid-level Tianzuan, but it has the power of fish bones, which can affect the soul and kill people invisibly. From this aspect, its terrifying level is even more than that of a high-level heavenly lord. But for the undead army, its influence has no effect, it can be dealt with. And the red charm coral itself is a material that can be used to summon elemental liches. Lin Moyu's thoughts surged and he decided to get rid of the red charm coral. Not only for fish bones and spiritual materials, Lin Moyu also wanted to use red charm coral to summon the elemental lich. Just as Lin Moyu was thinking about it, ripples appeared in the space, and an extremely powerful attack came towards him. Red charm coral's whole body vibrated and launched a powerful attack. The power of time and space gathered, and Lin Moyu quickly entered another level of time and space to avoid the attack. The three Kajun people around them were not so lucky. The space ripples hit them directly, and the three of them were knocked away like artillery pieces. Immediately afterwards, the red charm bloomed with bright red light, which reflected a large area of the boundary sea. Amidst the loud noise, countless water arrows exploded from the boundary sea. Again. Lin Moyu snorted. The red charm coral's attack method was exactly the same as before. But this time Lin Moyu was hundreds of miles away and was no longer as passive as before. He retreated again to distance himself, the shadows around him jumped, and the dragon cavalry army was already dispatched. The law of bones gathered into a sea, enveloped the legion, and turned into a shield of bones to resist water arrows. The water arrows were extremely powerful, and the dragoons were retreating steadily, but they were still barely able to survive. The immortal flame burned blazingly, and the 500 skeleton kings came out in response. Lin Moyu pointed towards Red Charm Coral, and the Hell of Bones instantly enveloped Red Charm Coral. The Hell Spirit pounced on the coral and opened its mouth to bite. There was a big difference between the Supreme and Heavenly Sovereign, so it was very difficult for the Hell area to bite back. But they ignored the difficulties and ate like crazy. The red charm coral trembled and shook again, the fish bones bloomed with light, the space rippled, and the skeleton hell was shattered on the spot. The mark is completed, holy. The bone hell gloriously completed the order and completed the mark for Lin Moyu. The skeleton king wields his sword at the same time, bones kill God. The world of rules rises, the shadow of bones emerges, and the strong doctor's sword light explodes on the body of Chi Mei Shan 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 Hu. The coral shattered, and the huge red charm coral was smashed into countless pieces by this sword. Red charm coral was completely angry, and its bright red body began to move, evolving into thousands of huge whips. Lin Moyu retreated again, and at the same time, the Dragon Cavalry Legion and King Hua Jiwei also retreated. The whip struck the boundary sea, which exploded, and countless water arrows were shot out again. The corals whipped incessantly, and water arrows shot out like explosive rain. The Skeleton King waved his bone sword, which was airtight and blocked the water arrows. The huge impact caused them to retreat. The situation of the Dragon Cavalry Legion was similar. Facing the overwhelming water arrow attack, they could only defend and could not rush through at all. Lin Moyu's heart moved. Kujun and three other mid-level heavenly lords swam upstream, broke through the water arrow blockade, and headed towards Chishan Hu. They are also mid-level Tianzuan, and their strength is much stronger than the Skeleton King. The flying fish appeared and instantly rushed in front of the three people to clear the way for them. The wings of the flying fish vibrated and launched countless attacks. All the oncoming water arrows were chopped to pieces. The red charm coral evolved numerous red blood long whips and whipped them. The wings of the flying fish vibrated more and more violently, cutting off all the whips. After becoming a resurrector, the flying fish is stronger than before, and his attack power has truly reached the peak of the mid-level Tianzuan. Purely in terms of attack, it surpasses red tiger coral. The fish bones and the red charm coral kept vibrating, disturbing the space. At the same time, the whole body of the red charm coral bloomed with charming light, trying to influence the flying fish and Kujun 157. It's a pity that they are all resurrected, and all their consciousness is obeying Lin Moyu's orders. They have no thoughts of their own at all and will not be affected. The magic stars belonging to the resurrection of the dead shone brightly, and the flying fish and others instantly entered another level of time and space to avoid the impact of space. In the blink of an eye, they broke through the water arrow blockade and arrived at the red charm coral. The three men of Kujun immediately let go of their hands and feet and launched a fierce attack on the red charm coral. The huge body of the flying fish hit the red charm coral like a sharp arrow, directly knocking out a hole. It rushed into it, vibrating its wings, and in an instant, the hole expanded several times. The red charm coral was severely damaged, and this guy who was just a little smart fought back angrily. The ocean was boiling, and the aftermath of the battle swept across tens of thousands of miles of ocean, with first 10,000-meter water columns rising into the sky. If the vast ocean hadn't been made up of water from the Boundary Sea, it would have been evaporated long ago. If this war takes place in the big world, all nearby galaxies within hundreds of light years will be destroyed. In battles in the Tianzuan realm, the destructive power is only used as an image. For mid-level resurrected heavenly lords besieged Red Charm Coral and gradually gained the upper hand. The Skeleton King swung his bone sword again and struck out the second bone-killing god. Another large piece of coral was chopped into pieces, and the Red Charm Coral resisted frantically, but to no avail. Finally, the Dragoon Legion no longer had to resist the water arrows. They launched a charge and rushed over to join the battle group. Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief. The overall situation has been decided. After holding on for more than 10 minutes, the Red Charm Coral was finally beaten to pieces. The few remaining spiritual intelligences were also strangled, and the Red Charm Coral died completely. Kujun and the others returned and brought back fish bones, origin crystals, and spiritual materials. In addition, there was also a Red Charm Coral slightly larger than a palm. This is the true body of Red Charm Coral. The bodies we have seen before are all its evolved bodies. The body of the Red Charm Coral exudes the aura of the heavenly realm, and is of a very high grade, no worse than the treasured garment of the Lich in brocade. Put the spiritual materials into the world of rules, Infinite Fusion flew over immediately and swallowed the spiritual materials with open mouth. Then it returns to its place contentedly, digesting the spiritual material. This guy will eat it no matter what it is or whether it is easy to digest. Lin Moyu knew that after it digested and absorbed this material, it would most likely be able to recover. There are more than 20 pieces of origin crystals this time, including 6 pieces of 5th order origin. Although these origin crystals are not world-class origins like the big world, the quality is pretty good, not worse than what Lin Moyu fused himself. Although the shape of this fish bone is different from the previous one, it is still as warm and moist as jade. Lin Moyu still couldn't understand the pattern on it, but Lin Moyu had already seen its power. When the fish bone is activated, it can stir up the space, knock back, or even kill surrounding creatures. However, it is obvious that the Red Charm Coral only used the insignificant power of the fish bone, and may not have even triggered 1,000th of its power. Lin Moyu could feel that the power contained inside the fish bones was very powerful and terrifying. Once it was fully triggered, it would definitely kill Tianzuan instantly. After all, this is something that even the King of Realm C wants to get. How can it be a simple thing? Lin Moyu didn't bother to study it and directly put away the fish bones. Finally, attention fell on the Red Charm Coral. The Red Charm Coral, which was a little larger than a palm, flashed with a gorgeous red light. This kind of light is highly confusing and can arouse the most instinctive desires in people's hearts. Under the Heavenly Lord, as long as you take a look at it, you will fall into an illusion. And after the Red Charm Coral has spiritual intelligence, it can even affect everyone's mind and generate thoughts that they shouldn't have. This reminded Lin Moyu of the Starlight Galaxy Lich he had summoned. Its ability was to create illusions and trap enemies. However, the ability of the Starlight Galaxy Lich is not as good as the Red Charm Coral. Its illusion is too deliberate. As long as the Tao heart is strong enough, it can resist it. The Red Charm Coral directly affects the soul. It seems that there is no illusion, but in fact it is more terrifying than the illusion. Lin Moyu summoned the Starlight Galaxy Lich, which had not been used for many years, and sent the Red Charm Coral to it. Can it be absorbed? The characteristic of the elemental lich is that it can absorb high-level materials to grow itself. The Lich of the Buddhist kingdom has already verified this, absorbing the Golden Lotus and growing to the pinnacle of supreme power. The Starlight Galaxy Lich had also contributed to him in the past. If it could absorb and grow, Lin Moyu did not want to summon a new elemental lich. With a confused look in his eyes, the Starlight Galaxy Lich flew to the Red Charm Coral and pressed his whole body against it. Then its whole body glowed, and the red coral gradually melted in the light and merged with it. Sure enough, Lin Moyu raised the corner of his mouth slightly and couldn't help but feel a little hopeful in his heart. I don't know what it will be like. At this time, a huge whirlpool appeared in the ocean. Countless waters of the world sea were being swept away by the whirlpool, and the water surface was falling at an alarming rate. The location where the whirlpool appeared was exactly where Chishan was before. When the original red charm coral was still alive, the island it evolved just blocked this gap. Now that it is dead, the gap is revealed. The vortex siphons the water of the boundary sea at an extremely fast speed. At the current rate, the entire ocean will disappear in less than a day. Lin Moyu was not in a hurry. He quietly watched the whirlpool and waited for the ocean to disappear. Starlight Galaxy Lich absorbed the red charm coral, covered its whole body with a bright red coat, and turned into a beautiful red doll. Its aura is getting stronger and stronger, and it quickly breaks through to the Supreme Realm. Then he sang all the way and soared, breaking through like a rock to reach the peak. But this is not the limit. After staying at the peak supreme for several hours, the aura of the Starlight Galaxy Demon became stronger again. Along with the dazzling red light, it broke through the Supreme Realm and stood at the position of a low-level Heavenly Lord, reaching the same level as the Brocade Lich. It can be seen from this that the level of red charm coral is actually not much different from that of Kujun's treasured garment. In the realm of Tianzuan, one should be able to achieve neutrality. The newly born Lich, wearing a red coat, circled around Lin Moyu, looking very happy. It is only the size of a palm and looks extremely cute. Lin Moyu also got its information simultaneously. Star Charm Lich. Realm, low-level Heavenly Lord. Grade, perfect. Growth limit, none. Spell, Starlight Charm, Avenue of Illusion. Starlight Charm, it can affect the soul, arouse the most primitive desires, and make people fall into an illusion and be unable to extricate themselves. The illusion can be controlled by the owner's will. The Avenue of Illusion, activate the power of the avenue, and use the power of the avenue to plunge the soul into a boundless illusion. If you cannot escape from the illusion, you will be trapped and die in the illusion. The effect of the Avenue of Fantasy will be affected by various conditions and can affect up to high-level Tianzuan. Territory. Starlight Charm is an illusion that can directly affect the soul. It not only arouses desires, but also creates illusions at the soul level, and you can also control this illusion. Starlight Galaxy Lich changed its name and became Star Charm Lich. Reaching the realm of low-level Tianzuan, he has two abilities. The Avenue of Illusion activates the power of the avenue and forcibly pulls the opponent's soul into the illusion. Once you enter, it will be difficult to leave. The technique seems to create an illusion, but it is actually a killing technique, and it is an extremely terrifying technique that kills people invisible. It's just that this technique will also be affected by various factors, such as the opponent's soul realm, magic weapon, Taoist heart, etc. At present, the highest level that can be affected is the high-level Tianzuan. In Lin Moyu's view, Xingwangshan was already very strong. My own spells are really powerful and there are no useless spells. The summoned elemental lich, which had been useless for many years, now shows amazing power. Lin Moyu put away the Star Charm Lich and looked at Yu. The ocean has already dropped by more than half, and in half a day, the ocean in this space will be completely drained. The whirlpool is so big that I don't know where it leads. Lin Moyu wanted to wait until all Wanyang was drained before deciding whether to go down. If it's too dangerous down there, he may choose to give up. His recent experiences all told him that this special space was very dangerous. Money is good, low-level Tianzuan will die at any time, and mid-level Tianzuan will die if he is not careful. The Jiahai order may not necessarily save one's life, so one must be careful in everything. After half a day, the ocean was finally drained away, revealing the dark earth. This was the first time Lin Moyu saw the earth under the Boundary Sea. The water of the Boundary Sea contained powerful power. Under the impact of the power of the Boundary Sea, the earth looked very solid. After the seawater was drained, the earth began to shake, and then countless cracks appeared on the seemingly solid black earth, and strong suction forces emerged from the cracks. Along with the cracks, there are also huge suction forces, the space becomes distorted, and cracks also appear. The space cracks carry powerful power, are extremely terrifying, and will cause death if touched. Oops! A danger warning came from his soul, and Lin Moyu took out the Jihai token and prepared to leave. The boundary sea order is activated and a light group blooms. The light group had just formed, and the entire space was shattered in an instant. Lin Moyu's body, together with the light group that had just bloomed, were torn to pieces. Purple light pulsed, and Lin Moyu's broken body recovered as before. After resurrection, Lin Moyu was still frightened, and his new talent showed up again. Saved myself for the first time. Looking back on the experience just now, it is really unbearable to look back. The feeling of being torn to pieces without any resistance is very uncomfortable. Lin Moyu realized that the Jihai order could not absolutely guarantee that he would not be harmed. Under the force just now, Jihai Ling's light group was also torn into pieces. Looking around, Lin Moyu found that he was on a reef, and there was a faint sound of the ocean in the distance. The Jihai Ling was not far away, and Lin Moyu immediately received the Jihai Ling in his hand. Holding the Jihai Ling, Lin Moyu's eyes flickered. It's too dangerous here, so go back. I already have 2 fish bones in hand. I'll tell you when I get back, and I can exchange them for some treasures. I have obtained all the spiritual materials and source crystals. This trip is not a loss. Lin Moyu thought over and over again and decided to go back first. In this muddy water, I don't want to live anymore. No matter what good things there are in the future, they should not be touched by him for the time being. Lin Moyu activated the Jihai order and wanted to return. Sleep together. But the Jihai order did not work, and there was no. Lin Moyu's face turned ugly. The Jihai order has been activated once, and it will take some time before it can be used again. He had just activated the Jihai order. Now if he wanted to activate it again, he would have to wait for a while. How long to wait is hard to say. Lin Moyu felt the Jihai token's recovery speed and calculated the approximate time. It would take about 10 days before the Jihai token 720 could be used again. With a little helplessness, he said, there is nothing we can do about it. Let's make peace with it now. Lin Moyu wanted to be a bachelor and planned to stay in the main village area of Shaji. There was a vague sense of oppression in this space, which made him feel unsafe, so he simply stopped in silence. After waiting for 10 days, pass the Jihai order and leave. Although practitioners must move forward bravely, they cannot move forward without thinking, otherwise only physical death and Taoist dissolution will befall them. A true practitioner must know how to advance and retreat, and advance when necessary, regardless of danger to life or death. Don't hesitate when it's time to retreat. Wrong choices can also lead to life or death. Lin Moyu didn't know whether his choice was right or wrong, but he believed in his soul, which told him that it was dangerous here. Lin Moyu hid his aura. In the chaotic reef, he seemed to have become one of them, as motionless as a rock. Waves of waves sounded, and a dense crawling sound suddenly sounded in my ears. Looking along the sound, Lin Moyu saw the owner of the sound, which were huge crabs. Crabs have strange patterns on their bodies. These patterns look somewhat similar to the patterns on fish bones, but are much lighter and weaker. These crabs are about 1 meter in size and have a pair of huge pincers. The pliers are shining with sharp luster. Once there is a rock blocking their way, they will use the pliers to smash the rock into pieces. Or just use pliers to cut the reef into pieces. Anyway, no matter which method is used, the crabs will not change direction. For them, there is no detour. The rocks here have withstood the impact of the water of the Boundary Sea for countless years and are extremely strong. Phew. But in front of the crab's claws, it's not much better than tofu. Lin Moyu could imagine that if the pliers fell on him, he would not be much better than the reef. Seeing the crab getting closer and closer to him, Lin Moyu also felt a little helpless. Some things couldn't be avoided if he wanted to. Just as he was about to take action, the reef exploded, and several strange fish covered with scales rushed out from under the reef and rushed towards the crabs. The strange fish has a claw under its abdomen, which is thick and can directly grab the crab and stuff it into its mouth. The sharp teeth were like biting biscuits, biting the warm crab into pieces. The crab claws that Lin Moyu thought were extremely powerful just now landed on the strange fish, making a metallic collision sound, but there was no sound. Can't break its scales. The strength of this scale armor is beyond imagination. The crab was not completely defenseless. Lin Moyu discovered that among the crab's 10 legs, the thinnest one was extremely sharp and could pierce the strange fish's box. The crab reacted quickly after being attacked and started fighting with the strange fish. Terrifying power swept out, shaking off a large number of rocks. Lin Moyu took the opportunity to gather his breath and moved away from the rocks that were knocked away. Leaving was a place of banditry. Whether it was a strange fish or a crab, he said he couldn't afford to offend it. Difference. Those are two groups of uncles, each of them is no better than a high-level deity. A group of high-level heavenly beings are fighting for life and death there. As a supreme being, if he goes there to join in the fun, he is simply seeking death. Lin Moyu stayed away, feeling that this space seemed a little unusual. Although the battle between the two sides was fierce, the aftermath of the battle was always controlled within 10,000 meters. There is an invisible force in this space that suppresses their destructive power. In fact, Lin Moyu had discovered it since he first came in. The previous suppression was relatively weak, but as he went deeper and deeper, the suppression became stronger and stronger. If, as he observed, this space is circular, then he is closer to the center now than before. The closer you are to the center, the stronger the suppression of space itself. Lin Moyu originally wanted to spend 10 days quietly, but now it seems that it is difficult. He silently released the genie lich, launched the genie night walk, and began to observe the calendar space. The lich in brocade took off, flew to an altitude of 1,000 meters, and looked down from a high position. Only then did Lin Moyu realize that where he was a peninsula. Behind the peninsula is a continent with no visible edges, and I am on the edge of this continent. Outside the continent, there is also the boundless sea, and in the ocean is the water of the boundary sea, which is turbulent. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew past the lich in brocade. The connection between them was disconnected, and Jin Jiao Lich had died in Fengchen. Lin Moyu was startled for a moment. The lich in genie was actually dead. How did you die? Lin Moyu couldn't understand. It was just a gust of wind, and the brocade lich died just like that. Lin Moyu had no idea how he died, and there was no sign of any attack. With the eye of the undead open, Lin Moyu looked at the sky, but saw nothing. Not seeing the danger does not mean that there is no danger. It is a fact that Genie Lich is dead, and even Dao Blessing has no chance to rescue him. Such a sudden death made Lin Moyu even more cautious. My feeling is correct. This space is very dangerous, and some dangers are unpredictable. Fortunately, the brocade lich will not really die and will be resurrected in a short time. There are still 9 days left. Leave immediately after 9 days. You can't stay here for a long time. If you stay for a minute longer, you may encounter something unexpected. Even with the new talent, Su Moyu was not sure he had the ability to survive. Under the eyes of the undead, Lin Moyu also saw a fierce battle between strange fish and crabs, with powerful souls constantly colliding. Suddenly, he saw that at the other end of the battlefield, there were still several soul fires hidden there. There are 5 soul fires in total, representing 5 people. 4 of them are mid-level Tianzuan, and 1 is a high-level Tianzuan. There are people hiding out there like me. It seems that they have been here for a long time. So, the existence of the existing ones may have been discovered by them. Lin Moyu didn't know who the other party was, or whether the other party had discovered him, but Lin Moyu knew that he couldn't bet. Although he could leave, the mainland behind was equally unsafe. In comparison, facing unknown dangers, it is better to be here. At this time, a strange fish was killed. Before it died, its body exploded, its original aura soared into the sky, and an original crystal fell out. Lin Moyu saw clearly that what fell out turned out to be a fifth-order source crystal. He knew that on the Origin continent, the value of fifth-order Origin crystals was already high. The gods often fight over a piece of fifth-level Origin. Yes. These people should come here for the source crystal. If they know that the strange fish will drop the Origin crystal after death, they must have witnessed such a battle more than once, which also means that they should have discovered me long ago. Regardless of whether there is hostility or not, we must strike first and seize the initiative. After thinking about it, Lin Moyu came up with a solution. The battle between the crab and the strange fish finally ended after more than half an hour. The battle ended with the victory of the strange fish. The crabs quickly returned to the Boundary Sea, while the strange fish chased them all the way and also entered the Boundary Sea. Lin Moyu spurted out as they left. Several middle-level deities hiding on the opposite side also moved. They rushed towards the source crystal, which was different from Lin Moyu's goal. Lin Moyu's targets were the flesh and blood left behind by the strange fish corpses, as well as the flesh and blood left behind by the crabs during the battle. And those 4 mid-level heavenly lords want the source crystal. Lin Moyu finally saw clearly that these 4 intermediate heavenly lords were all monsters. Judging from their appearance, they look like the golden monkeys among the demon clan. The two sides had different goals. After Lin Moyu rushed into the battlefield, Lin Moyu immediately collected the flesh and blood left by the strange fish and crabs. In the battle just now, 2 strange fish died, and their flesh and blood were left behind. 10 crabs died, most of them were eaten clean, and only a few of them left some remains. Lin Moyu moved quickly and collected 5 pieces of blood/meat in total. He was determined in his heart that with these 5 flesh and blood, he could kill all the middle-level heavenly lords, even the 5 high-level heavenly lords. While he was collecting flesh and blood, the 4 golden monkey heavenly lords also obtained the piece of 5th-level origin. They grinned at Lin Moyu at the same time, but their smiles were full of killing intent. "It's you, what a coincidence. I didn't expect that the mark I left on you before disappeared. I thought you were lucky to escape, but I didn't expect that you would meet here. Should we say that we are lucky, or that you are unlucky? But you should be lucky enough to survive until now. It's just that your good luck has come to an end." The 4 of them kept talking to each other. Lin Moyu's expression remained unchanged and extremely calm. "Have you finished speaking?" Golden Monkey Tianzuan laughed loudly. "Are you in such a hurry to die?" Lin Moyu snorted softly, unfolded his wings of the undead, and flew into the distance at an astonishing speed. "Hurry up, he's trying to escape." Golden Monkey Tianzuan roared and chased Lin Moyu. The direction in which Lin Moyu fled was exactly where the high-level heavenly lord was hiding. Lin Moyu, the high-level heavenly lord, knew him and had marked himself, and he is the only one among the high-level gods of the human race who wants to kill him. Lin Moyu didn't know why the other party wanted to kill him, and he didn't know the other party at all. But no matter what, the murderous intention cannot be concealed. And he didn't take action before, probably because he wanted to stand by and watch the 4 Golden Monkey Clan heavenly lords kill him. If he wanted to escape, he would definitely stop him. In this case, simply flee towards his location and force him out. Lin Moyu's idea was correct. His action immediately aroused the other party's reaction. The aura belonging to the high-level skites suddenly rose, blocking Lin Moyu's way. Lin Moyu saw the other person. It was the one who had marked himself before. However, Lin Moyu did not show it, but showed joy. "Senior, save me." The expressions of the 4 Golden Monkey Heavenly Lords changed at the same time. "Oh no, they are high-level Heavenly Lords from the human race. Let's go." The high-ranking Heavenly Lord snorted coldly, and a big hand came out from the sky. Descending, he shot the 4 Golden Monkey Heavenly Lords head-on. The four people screamed strangely and immediately scattered and fled. At this time, the big hand turned sharply, speeding up instantly, and caught one of them. With a bang, the golden monkey Tianzuan was crushed to pieces and his belongings were scattered on the ground. A ray of light flew out, and the golden monkey heavenly lord appeared 100 miles away. With the help of magic weapons, he escaped this disaster. The big hand did not chase, but grabbed an origin crystal with his backhand and brought it back. That piece. This origin crystal is exactly what the golden monkey obtained before. The four of them still didn't dare to stop at all and ran away quickly. It's good to be able to save your life. How dare you worry about the origin crystal? Lin Moyu looked at him and praised without hesitation. Senior is so mighty. Thank you so much for saving me. I don't know what your surname is. Putting away the source crystal, he said solemnly, my honorable name is Hongguang. Lin Moyu immediately shouted smoothly, it turns out to be Hongguang Tianzuan. The younger generation must remember the kindness of saving me this time and repay the favor to my seniors if there is an opportunity in the future. Hongguang Tianzuan's eyes were slightly focused. He always paid attention to Lin Moyu's expression and whispered, have you never heard of my name? Lin Mo said, this is the first time this junior has heard it. Hongguang Tianzuan frowned, aren't you from the Lin family in Cliff City, Nanzhou? Lin Moyu shook his head, the Lin family in Cliff City? Junior, no. Hongguang Tianzuan's eyes swept over Lin Moyu, as if to confirm whether Lin Moyu's words were true or false. Think. Lin Moyu looked calm and composed, but his heart was racing. Lin Moyu felt that the reason Hongguang Tianzuan wanted to kill him might have something to do with his surname. He might have a grudge against the Lin family in Cliff City, and when he heard that his surname was Lin, he had murderous intentions. Hongguang Tianzuan said, the Lin family in Cliff City is a huge family. Their power covers most of southern continent and has countless branches. I heard that 1,000 years ago, an incredible genius appeared in the Lin family. I don't know if it's you, maybe Lin 7 of 8 no. But your surname is Lin, and you are a top genius. Following his words, murderous intent gradually rose. Lin Moyu knew that Hongguang Tianzuan planned to kill someone wrong rather than let him go. He was already certain that the other party had an unimaginable hatred against the Lin family in Cliff City. Only then would he encounter a top genius named Lin, and he would have to find a way to kill him. Wrong. This does nothing to Hongguang Tianzuan. He whispered, Senior, I really am not from the Lin family. Hongguang Tianzuan shook his head gently, it's not important anymore. If you have any last words, just say them. He is already murderous and will be hard to change. Lin Moyu sighed, Senior, with your strength, you can actually tell through cause and effect that I am not from the Lin family. Hongguang Tianzuan said, in order to avoid pursuit, I cut off all karma. Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat as all the cause and effect had been cut off. In this way, there was really no end in sight. Lin Moyu stopped trying to dissuade him and sighed, Senior, I know you have a grudge against the Lin family. You want to kill all the geniuses named Lin, but have you ever thought that you can't kill them at all? Hongguang Tianzuan said, the origin continent is very big, and there are many geniuses named Lin. All I can do is kill everyone I see, so that my Taoist heart can be smooth, and I will have the opportunity to destroy the Lin family in the future. Lin Moyu sighed, you won't have a chance. As he spoke, he stretched out his finger, and the bone hell emerged automatically, covering Hongguang Tianzuan. Since you want to take action, then strike first to gain the upper hand. Feiyu followed Feiyun from the bone hell and killed Hongguang Tianzuan together. Hongguang Tianzuan said, it's useless. He patted it lightly with his big hand, and the hell of bones shattered, and the flying fish was also patted into the ocean. Lin Moyu has finally seen the strength of the high-level heavenly lord. I used to think that crabs and strange fish were strong enough, but compared with Hongguang Tianzuan, they were far behind. Judging from what Hongguang Tianzuan has done, he is a very cautious person. He obviously coveted the origin crystal and had the power to suppress the strange fish and crabs, but he still refused to take action. I defended them and killed each other. If he takes action, he may be able to obtain more source crystals. Moreover, he had long discovered that he was also waiting for the 4 golden monkey heavenly lords to kill him without taking action. He thought that the mantis would catch the cicada and the oriole would be behind him, but until he forced him out, the group could not help him. Pass. I have a deep hatred against the Lin family. I would rather kill him by mistake than let him go. Hongguang Tianzuan said, "Don't waste your efforts. If you don't have any last words, then go die." Lin Moyu sighed, "Okay, then go die." A broken crab 370 leg appeared in his hand and turned into ashes. Technique, corpse explosion. Boom. Amidst the loud noise, Hongguang Tianzuan's expression suddenly changed, and he was blown away by the powerful force. His world of rules automatically opens, sharing the damage for Hongguang Tianzuan. The rule world of Hongguang Tianzuan is very strange, as if there are countless ghosts resounding in it, and it feels like 100 ghosts crying and wolves howling. The Lin family, if you destroy my whole family, you will not die a good death. The Lin family of Cliff City, even if I were a ghost, I would never let you go. I vow to turn into the most powerful evil spirit and bring you home. Screams resounded, and waves of resentment rose into the sky, impacting Lin Moyu's soul world. The world tree sheds fresh air, and the 10-colored dragon soul crystals emitted bursts of dragon roars, helping Lin Moyu resist the impact of his soul. Hongguang Tianzuan's roar shook the sky, and Lin Moyu's sudden attack made him feel uncomfortable. He was not dead, he was too strong, and with the help of the world of rules, he blocked the blow. Lin Moyu had expected this for a long time and was not surprised. Star Charm Lich flew out, and at the same time a drop of ancestral water fell on Star Charm Lich. In an instant, the red light covered the sky and the sun, and the red clothes on the Star Charm Lich turned into a red robe, covering the surrounding area. Hongguang Tianzuan roared, "Zhu Shui, you actually have Zhu Shui, you are indeed a member of the Lin family. Suffer death." He roared and came over. Countless giant palms emerged from all directions, tearing the space apart and tearing Lin Moyu into pieces. Hongguang Tianzuan laughed crazily after killing Lin Moyu. "Death, die, everyone in the Lin family will die. No matter which Lin family you are, everyone named Lin should die. He looks like crazy, extremely crazy." Suddenly, he saw Lin Moyu, who had obviously been killed, reappearing not far away. He started again and tore Lin Moyu into pieces. But Lin Moyu still didn't die. Time and time again, no matter what the doctors did, he couldn't be killed. "Impossible, impossible. Why can't you kill me? Why can't you kill me?" Hongguang Tianzuan is getting more and more crazy, like a madman. Lin Moyu stood on the rocks not far away, looked at Hongguang Tianzuan, who was going crazy, and sighed softly, "I'm really crazy. I don't know how you cultivated to the high level of Tianzuan. Your Taoist heart has long since collapsed. Your world of rules is full of resentment, and your soul has long been covered by resentment. For you, the path of cultivation has been overturned. How pathetic." Hongguang Tianzuan was affected by the Star Charm Lich, and his soul fell into an illusion. Everything he saw and felt was an illusion. The original ability of the Star Charm Lich, using the avenue of illusion, coupled with the ancestral water, could not really make the high-level heavenly lord fall into an illusion. But Hongguang Tianzuan is harassed by resentment every day. His soul has long been refuted by resentment, and there is not much reason left. In this way, the Star Enchantment Lich's illusory avenue makes it fall into an illusion, and it is difficult to extricate itself. Lin Moyu tapped his finger towards Hongguang Tianzuan, and the flesh and blood of the huge monster fish turned into soot. Boom! In the explosion, Hongguang Tianzuan was blown away again. His rule world continued to help him share the damage, but this time it was much worse than before, and there were a lot of cracks in the rule world. Hongguang Tianzuan was injured, but became even crazier, beating him with the intention of regaining consciousness. In his sight, Lin Moyu used some dirty tricks and injured himself. It's really hard to kill. But that's fine. The harder you are to kill, the stronger she will be after becoming a resurrector. Lin Moyu took out the remaining 3 pieces of flesh and blood and detonated them all at once. The explosion sounded almost simultaneously, and the world of rules was shattered on the spot. Black resentment rushed out from the broken world and then scattered around. Hongguang Tianzuan finally calmed down and fell to the ground, his eyes full of unwillingness. Before dying, he finally regained some of his sanity. His whole body was blown beyond recognition, not only his body, but also his soul. The breath had become very weak, and Hongguang Tianzuan murmured, "How did you do it, Lin?" Lin Moyu shook his head. "First of all, I am not the Lin family you are talking about. I have nothing to do with the Lin family in the original Continent Zero." Hongguang Tianzuan obviously didn't believe it. He gritted his teeth and said, "The surname is Chen. To read Baoshuang novels, go to Feilu Novel Network." Lin Mo said, "Believe it or not, now that you are about to die, if you have any last words, I may be able to help you complete them when I go to the origin continent one day." Hongguang Tianzuan glanced at Lin Moyu and said in a trembling voice, "No more." Lin Moyu frowned. "It doesn't matter if you don't want to say it, then I'll send you away." Hongguang Tianzuan laughed miserably. "You are not qualified to send me away." As soon as the words fell, a powerful force rushed out of his body, and the original power turned into flames, burning his soul. Self-destruction. Lin Moyu shouted angrily and quickly retreated. He retreats faster and the power of self-destruction is faster. In the roar, the body of Hongguang Tianzuan exploded, and the body was shattered. Lin Moyu was also blown to pieces in the self-destruction. Not only Lin Moyu, but also the Star Charm Lich who had just emerged was also killed. Purple light pulsed, and Lin Moyu resurrected in a new life. It's so difficult to deal with. I didn't expect that he could self-destruct before dying. Fortunately, I have the talent of rebirth, otherwise I would be dead. You can't underestimate the high-level Heavenly Lord. For a high-level Heavenly Lord like Hongguang Heavenly Lord, if he wants to die with others, he will always find a way. Lin Moyu admitted that he had taken it lightly just now, thinking that the world of rules was destroyed and Hongguang Tianzuan had no power to fight back. 2.9 did not expect that there was still the power of the source to detonate. He swung a ball of flames and fell on the ground. In the self-explosion, Hongguang Tianzuan's body was completely gone, but there was still a lot of blood falling around. In the immortal flame, these bloods gathered together and began to be reborn. Flesh and flesh regenerate, soul reorganizes. Lin Moyu looked at this scene. The mysterious master said that if the immortal golden body is refined to the limit, it can be reborn with blood and kill Hui. I don't know if the immortal golden body at the heavenly realm is enough. If you have this ability, it will be much safer. Hongguang Tianzuan was reborn with blood in the immortal flames and became a person of Xiaxing. He looked at Lin Moyu with complicated eyes, as if he wanted to struggle, but under the suppression of the spell, his eyes gradually became pious, and finally he knelt down in front of Lin Moyu respectfully. Lin Moyu looked at him, the flames of gossip blazing. "Tell me, what is going on between you and the Lin family in Cliff City?" Hongguang Tianzuan was originally Cheng Hongguang, an ordinary disciple of the Cheng family in Duanshui City. Back then, the Cheng family accidentally obtained a treasure. The Lin family found out about it and came to buy it forcibly. The Lin family in Cliff City was very powerful, so the Cheng family had no choice but to give in and sell the treasure to the Lin family. The law of the jungle in the original continent is so naked, and everything is done with fists. Originally, this matter ended like this. Although the Chang family lost their treasure, they also received some compensation. They were inferior to others, so they could only swallow this sigh of relief. Unexpectedly, on the night of the transaction, the Lin family came back and slaughtered the entire Chang family. Cheng Hongguang was not at home at that time, so Cheng Jieli gave up. At that time, he was just a little supreme, and he didn't dare to go back to the Chang family. He was afraid that someone from the Lin family was ambushing there and planned to eradicate the root cause. With the magic weapon of karma he obtained during an expedition, he cut off all the karma between himself and the Lin family, and also cut off the bloodline. The Lin family could not trace him through the bloodline. In this way, he was safe. Similarly, he could not judge through cause and effect that the trouble was related to the Lin family. After all, there were too many people named Lin. He had decided at that time that all geniuses named Lin were his enemies. Later, he became Tianzuan and secretly returned to the Chang family, only to find that the Chang family was still desolate. It seemed that they were afraid of the Lin family. No one occupied the place where the Chang family used to be. In the Chang family, resentment is soaring, and the ghosts of grievances are hard to disperse. Chang Hongguang refined all these grievances and incorporated them into his own world of rules. He began the road to revenge. Over the years, he has killed many practitioners named Lin. Regardless of whether they were from the Lin family or not, as long as they were named Lin and had good cultivation talents, he would kill them all. It's really better to kill someone wrong than let it go. After Lin Moyu heard this, he couldn't help but sigh. He would rather kill the wrong than let go. He really couldn't say who was right and who was wrong. However, he knew that Cheng Hongguang had actually fallen into his own obsession. Unless there was some big opportunity, it would be impossible to break through the Taoist master in this life. If you don't reach Dao Zun and want to take revenge on the Lin family, that's a fantasy. Even if he became a Taoist, it would probably be difficult to fight against a behemoth like the Lin family. To be able to stand for millions of years without falling, the Lin family's heritage is unimaginable. How could it be possible without Dao Xia? Lin Mo said, "Okay, now you don't have to take revenge. The grudge between the Lin family and the Chang family is over. According to what you said, the Lin family is so forceful and domineering, maybe they will be destroyed one day. They are strong, but not the strongest. It has indeed ended. Cheng Hongguang has become a resurrector and Lin Moyu's thug. It is impossible to seek revenge from the Lin family again. The Lin family has many enemies, and they might all be wiped out one day. Who can really explain such things as cause and effect? For Lin Moyu, this battle is the end, and what follows is the harvest." Cheng Hongguang's storage ring became Lin Moyu's trophy. After Lin Moyu checked it, he couldn't help but look happy on his face. After all, he is a high-level Tianzuan, and he does have a lot of good things. There are hundreds of source crystals inside, most of them are first and second order source crystals, and there are also a few fourth and fifth order source crystals. In addition, there are a lot of various materials, but they look a bit ordinary. The most important thing is that he has 2 fish bones inside. Cheng Hongguang also obtained 2 fish bones. Given his strength, it was not surprising that he obtained fish bones, but now, he became Lin Moyu's trophy. In the storage ring, Lin Moyu did not find the Jiahai Ling. Lin Moyu recalled that it seemed that when Cheng Hongguang died, Ying Heiling disappeared. Through Cheng Hongguang's words, Lin Moyu had some understanding of the situation in this space. There is a strange wind in the sky here, which can kill people invisible. Even with Cheng Hongguang's ability, he would be injured if he was blown by this wind. So no flying here. There should be dangers on land, but Cheng Hongguang, like Lin Moyu, came here not long ago and has not explored it yet. Lin Moyu's decision has not changed. He still doesn't want to go in and explore, so he decides to wait here until the Jiahai order is restored and then leave. The sky gradually became dark, as if night had fallen, and the sound of waves rang in my ears, and the sound gradually became more rapid. Lin Moyu noticed that the waves had changed, becoming more rapid and getting stronger. Boom! Amidst the roar, a huge wave hit the reef, splashing water, and the reef was shattered on the spot. Lin Moyu's expression changed slightly. The power of the huge wave was much stronger than before. As soon as the wave came down, it smashed countless cloth and stones. This power is not much worse than a strike from a high-level heavenly lord. No, if the waves were so powerful, the rocks would have been flattened long ago. But there are still a lot of rocks here. Looking at the messy rocks, Lin Moyu felt something was wrong. After a few decantations, there was another roar, and huge waves tens of thousands of meters high rose up from the ocean, overwhelming the sky and covering the earth. "I'm going!" Lin Moyu screamed strangely, and ran towards the inland without even thinking about it. Not only the huge waves came, but also countless rocks. The huge waves tens of thousands of meters high carried countless boulders, which fell like raindrops. Lin Moyu finally knew why there were so many rocks. It was really just smashing one batch and sending another batch. He didn't want to use the rocks to test his physical strength, so it was the best option. Lin Xiu breathed a sigh of relief after escaping tens of thousands of meters away from the shore in an instant. The huge waves fell and hit the shore heavily with the rocks. The ground shook violently, roaring continuously, and the invisible shock wave spread, passing by Lin Moyu at an alarming speed. Lin Moyu had no power to resist and was suddenly knocked away. The immortal golden body was shattered like paper. Lin Moyu felt like he was hit by an ancient beast, and his body flew out uncontrollably. He tried hard to stabilize his body, but the force was too great and it was difficult to control his body. At this time, a breeze came and blew into the body. The body turned into powder in the breeze. The glimmer of light blows on the world of rules and wants to blow out the world of rules. The world tree sways crazily, blocking the world of rules. The 10-colored dragon soul crystals also emit bursts of dragon breath, providing power to the world of rules. 010 Fortunately, the breeze was only a small one, and the light disappeared within 2 seconds. In the sky full of powder, purple light flashed, and Lin Moyu completed the reorganization of his body and was resurrected again. How scary! Lin Moyu put on his clothes immediately and continued to retreat. The rocks were like meteors, falling to the ground along with the huge waves, and the shock waves came one after another. He experienced danger. In this situation, even a high-level supreme would feel uncomfortable. If you don't do it right, you'll be smashed to death. The breeze in the sky was even more terrifying. With just such a gentle blow, I almost died. Lin Moyu was still frightened and stayed away from the shore. He couldn't stay on this shore anymore. In less than 9 days, he had to find a safe place. At this time, he was already 100,000 meters away from the shore and was in a green grassland. The grass was high and low. The high places could be more than 1 meter, and the short places were less than a palm. Looking into the distance, you can vaguely see mountains and forests. The surrounding area was slightly empty, and Lin Moyu instinctively felt that he was not safe in such an open place. But going to other places is also dangerous. As soon as the thought came up, a warning came from my soul that another danger was coming. A powerful aura came from the air, and a black spot appeared in the distance. The black spot was extremely fast and quickly enlarged in the sight. The eagle of the high-level heavenly realm. It's just that this eagle is a bit strange. Lin Moyu thought in his mind. His body suddenly dwarfed. He found a place with half a person tall grass, and shrank in. The huge eagle was hovering in the sky, and in Lin Moyu's eyes, it looked very strange. It's obviously an eagle, but it has fish scales. It has wings, a pair of sharp claws, and a fish tail. It is like a combination of fish and eagle. Lin Moyu gave it a very appropriate name, Face Eagle. The osprey ignored the deadly breeze and kept circling in the sky, occasionally screaming. It seemed to be looking for something. Lin Moyu knew that it was definitely looking for prey, but the prey was not him. Lin Moyu used the eye of the undead and carefully scanned the giant eye. Judging from the intensity of the soul fire, Osprey is even stronger than Cheng Hongguang. Moreover, it can fly in the air, ignore the deadly breeze, and occupy the right time and place. Calculate. Even if Cheng Hongguang faced it, there would be no peace. Lin Moyu only glanced at it, not daring to look more for fear of attracting his attention. Then the eye of the undead looked around, and finally not far away, Lin Moyu saw a ball of soul fire. This ball of soul fire is slightly weaker than the osprey, and weak is only relatively speaking, but it also has the experience of a high-level Tianzuan. The key thing is that this group of soul fire is only 100 meters away from me. It can be said that it is right next to me. Looking further away, there are many similar soul fires. This grassland is indeed unsafe and full of dangers. Wing. With a piercing scream, the osprey vibrated his. The osprey circled for a while and finally locked its target. The wings become infinitely large, waving in the air like a huge fan, creating boundless wind. The strong wind seemed to lift the entire grassland away, and countless green grass was lifted high into the sky along with the earth. Tornadoes formed automatically, blowing the green grassland beyond recognition. Lin Moyu felt a little lucky. Fortunately, Osprey's target was far away from him, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to hold it. The strong wind blows on the body, making cuts on the body like a scorpion. The immortal golden body is not very effective against attacks of this level. If the tornado collided head-on, Lin Moyu knew that he would definitely be torn into pieces. There were roars in the ears, and in the sight of the undead, countless high-level deities that were originally hidden on the grassland suddenly exploded. What rushed out from the grassland were giant pythons. These giant pythons were also very strange. They had 8 pairs of small fleshy wings on their backs and 8 pairs of sharp claws on their bodies. Although they look like pythons, they have fish mouths and tails, as if everything in this world is related to the Boundary Sea. The giant fish-shaped python shoots out like a bow and arrow, killing the osprey. Not just one, but a full 20. Lin Moyu suddenly understood that it was not only the osprey that wanted to hunt them, but they also wanted to hunt the osprey. This is a two-way hunt. It's hard to say who is the prey. Phantom. The osprey howled and quickly took off into the sky, leaving only one behind. The phantom was torn to pieces by the giant python, and the osprey also escaped the blow. Facing an enemy that was 20 times more than itself, the osprey did not attack easily. Instead, it hovered high in the air and continued to vibrate its wings to avoid the strong wind. It flies higher than the giant python. The giant python can only fall after flying to a certain level and does not stay in the air. Lin Moyu guessed that the deadly breeze was a threat to the giant python. The giant python spewed out countless fishy yellow gases and turned into a thick yellow fog, blocking the sight of the osprey. Lin Moyu discovered that the mist was poisonous and highly toxic. Large areas of grassland were corroded in the mist and quickly turned into juice. The osprey screamed while driving the strong wind and blowing away the fog. Many black spots appeared in the distant sky. The black spots were approaching quickly with strong winds. Each black spot was an osprey. A large number of ospreys flew over, and the original hunting soon turned into a group battle. Lin Moyu knew that there were many giant pythons on the grassland. If the scale of this battle continued to expand, it would be difficult for him to hide. Go, you must stay away from. Lin Moyu only had one thought now, to stay away from this land of right and wrong. If it was just a small-scale fight, he might stay and watch the show to see if he could get some advantage. But now, he knows that he can't stay. This war may affect the entire grassland, and he must leave. But with his strength, it is almost impossible to retreat silently. As long as you are targeted, the consequences will be disastrous. Even if the Lich in Imperial clothes is still there, turning on the Avenue of Blessing will not help. Looking for an opportunity. Lin Moyu's eyes gradually became sharper, and he was looking for a suitable opportunity to escape. When the osprey arrives, the war officially breaks out. Countless tornadoes appear on the grassland, and each tornado connects the sky and the earth, which is extremely terrifying. The storm was raging, and the original was torn to pieces. The giant python and the osprey collided and fought each other. Through the eyes of the undead, Lin Moyu noticed that more giant pythons were resurrecting. They came silently along the grass and wanted to give the osprey a fatal blow. The osprey apparently noticed this too and screamed in alarm. While they were fighting fiercely, Lin Moyu's heart moved. Bandits. Chang Hongguang appeared beside him, and the invisible force enveloped Lin Moyu, leading Lin Moyu away. As a high-level Tianzuan, Chang Hongguang is much faster than Lin Moyu, and with his protection, Lin Moyu's safety is also guaranteed. Forward! He tried his best not to cause any noise, and was speeding across the grassland. Lin Moyu only hoped that he would not attract the attention of the giant python and the osprey, otherwise even Chang Hongguang might not be able to stop them. He circled around the battlefield and tried to avoid it as much as possible. The distant mountains and forests gradually enlarged in sight. Lin Moyu was getting further and further away from the battlefield, but he did not dare to bite the rubber at all. There was a scream in the air, Lin Moyu's hair exploded all over his body, and he felt that he was being locked. An osprey passed by from high in the sky and flew towards him. The wings vibrated, blowing out gusts of wind, and countless sharp blades swept towards him. The grassland ahead exploded violently, and a giant python appeared out of nowhere and stood in front of Lin Moyu. The giant python opened its mouth and was about to spit out yellow mist. Lin Moyu gave an order to Chang Hongguang, ignore them and leave. At the same time, with a thought in his heart, the star charm lich appeared and the great path of illusion was activated. The eyes of the giant python blocking the road were obviously absent-minded. It had originally locked onto Lin Moyu, but suddenly turned its head and charged towards the osprey in the air, spraying out streaks of yellow mist. The star charm lich affected its sanity, causing it to ignore Lin Moyu and attack the osprey instead. The osprey screamed, driving the strong wind to disperse the yellow mist. The next second, the giant python leaped into the air and pounced on it, trying to fight the osprey. The osprey also moved its target away from Lin Moyu, and instead fought with the giant python. Lin Moyu took the opportunity to ask Chang Hongguang to speed up, and at the same time used the Eye of the Undead to avoid the hidden giant python, and kept taking detours to leave the grassland. The battle between the osprey and the giant python continues, and the battle continues to expand, gradually affecting the entire grassland. After detouring again and again, Lin Moyu finally left the grassland without any worries. During the process, we encountered several giant pythons, but fortunately they were all resolved by the Star Demon Lich. These giant pythons are powerful, but they don't have much wisdom. They only have instincts. The Star Charm Lich is enough to influence them. While staying away from the battlefield, Lin Moyu felt even more strange. They have already reached high-level Tianzuan, but they still only have weak and pitiful wisdom, which is really unreasonable. Moreover, these high-level gods also have no rules in the world. They only reach the level of high-level gods purely through strength. Lin Moyu would occasionally guess whether a rules-based world is not necessary. There is not just one path to cultivation. On the grassland, poisonous mist filled the air and strong winds swept through. The osprey and the giant python are killing each other to the point of madness. If this space were not special enough, the battle between high-level gods would be enough to destroy countless galaxies in the big world. Lin Mo was thoughtful as he watched the battle in the distance. The essence of cultivation is to make yourself stronger. There are millions of ways to become stronger. Understanding the laws and evolving into a world of rules is only one of the ways. In addition, there should be more ways to go. Those monsters in this space, those powerful beings in the world C, who lack intelligence, do not understand the rules, and have no rules in the world, can also regain their strength. It shows that they also have a way to become stronger. It's just about how far they can go, and whether they can become Taoist masters. Lin Moyu felt a little interested in their path. If he had the chance, he would like to explore the root cause of these guys becoming stronger. What is the reason that makes them so powerful? Lin Moyu watched the battle from a distance, hiding his own aura. Behind him is a high mountain with dense forests and a faint smell of people. Lin Moyu didn't dare to take it lightly. This mountain was equally dangerous. Ospreys come from high mountains. Obviously, this is the base camp of ospreys, but besides ospreys there must be many other dangers. 393. Lin Moyu didn't plan to go in right away. If it wasn't necessary, he wouldn't even want to. He was still staring at the battle on the grassland, wanting to see the final outcome of the battle. If he was lucky, he might be able to get some bargains. The strange fish on the coast will drop origin crystals, and maybe the ospreys and giant pythons will also drop them. The battle lasted for half a day, and both sides suffered casualties. Lin Moyu counted carefully, almost 8 ospreys died, and the giant python died from the Gone Dao type. But there are more pythons than ospreys, so these injuries are nothing. It was indeed the same as Lin Moyu's roots. There were origin crystals falling. Unfortunately, these origin crystals fell into the grassland and disappeared quickly. He couldn't get them at all. Even the dead bodies will be swallowed up by the grassland, and it will be difficult to recover them. If he wanted to get the body, he would have to find another way. What fell from the osprey and giant python were 5th-order origin crystals. In contrast, Lin Moyu wanted to get their bodies more. The origin of the 5th level, Su Moyu, as long as you spend some time, you will get what you want. But the corpse of a high-level Tianzuan was a life-saving trump card for Lin Moyu. Facing the huge temptation, Lin Moyu's head turned quickly and he began to think of countermeasures. Soon, all kinds of methods appeared in his mind. With the cooperation of Star Charm Lich, Bei, and Cheng Hongguang, there may be a chance. Lin Moyu opened the eyes of the undead and looked towards the mountains and dense forests behind him. Lin Moyu saw that there were many powerful souls hidden in the mountains and forests, and there was a high-level Tianyin in Changrong City. These souls are not always motionless, some are constantly moving and changing positions in the mountains and forests. There were so many souls, tens of thousands of them, that Lin Moyu couldn't help but feel like he had just left the tiger pack and entered a ruthless den. Bite the bullet, Lin Moyu braved the danger and found a safer place, and finally regained his breath. Then, according to his plan, he sent out the Star Charm Lich and Cheng Hongguang. Cheng Hongguang stayed away from him and came to the edge of the grassland to hide. The Star Charm Lich used its small body to move forward close to the green grass, while Lin Moyu used the Guanyuan Evil Eye to shine. Soon, the Star Charm Lich entered the battlefield area. It aimed at a seriously injured giant python and cast the Avenue of Illusion. The Avenue of Illusions has an advantage that no other technique has, that is, it is silent and will hardly be noticed. It acts directly on the soul, using the spiritual speed layer to influence a giant pie. The python does not have much intelligence and is easily affected by illusions. The severely injured python suddenly turned around and began to move away from the battlefield. From the look of it, it looked like it was trying to escape. Its behavior did not attract the attention of other giant pythons. Only Lin Moyu knew that in the sight of this giant python, this was not the case at all. It has fallen into the illusion created for it by the Star Charm Lich. In its sight, it is chasing and killing 10 fish that have fallen out of the clutches and cast their spells. The osprey was crawling hard on the grass and was already dying. I want to catch up with it, bite it to death and eat it. Gradually, it moved away from the battlefield and came to Cheng Hong's Li Jiang. Cheng Hongguang suddenly launched an attack and gave it a fatal blow. The giant python, which was originally seriously injured and trapped in an illusion, was directly killed when faced with Cheng Hongguang's sudden attack. Then Cheng Hongguang took out the ancient containment talisman that Lin Moyu had prepared early in the morning and put the body away. From the sudden attack to the collection of the body, the whole process was completed in one go, in less than 2 seconds. After finishing, Cheng Hongguang immediately changed his direction and left far away. Star Charm Lich continued to use the cover of green grass to sneak back to the battlefield, unable to prepare for the enemy's control. The second one targeted an osprey that was also seriously injured. An illusion appeared in front of the osprey's eyes, and a giant python that was seriously injured and escaped appeared in its sight, and it immediately chased after it. In the end, he was killed by Cheng Hongguang, who was hiding on the side. Time after time, Lin Moyu became more and more skilled in his movements, and there were more and more corpses in his hands. In less than an hour, he already had 5 corpses in his hands, including 3 giant pythons and 2 ospreys. However, Lin Moyu stopped as soon as he was satisfied and did not continue. With 5 corpses in hand at this moment, he no longer needs to be afraid of ordinary high-level deities. He could tell that the war was nearing its end and would probably end soon. The 2 sides must end in a draw. He knows very well that similar battles must have happened many times and what the consequences will be. Boom! A strange sound sounded, like the knocking of jade objects. It was not loud, but it spread throughout the grassland in an instant. There was a strange power in the voice that made Lin Moching's soul beat. The fight between the osprey and the python suddenly stopped when the sound rang out. The stop was very sudden, without any warning. The giant pythons shrunk in the grassland one after another, disappearing under the grassland. The osprey also returned quickly and was gone in the blink of an eye. Lin Moyu was stunned for a moment. This voice is weird. Boom! Immediately afterwards, the knocking sound sounded again, and Lin Moyu's soul beat unconsciously again. Lin Moyu suddenly felt that his soul seemed to have become stronger after hearing the voice. The magical knocking sound actually has the effect of strengthening the soul. Lin Moyu couldn't help but want to listen for a while, as his soul had not become stronger for a long time. In the past, my soul had always transcended the realm of cultivation. Until now, my soul and realm of cultivation have become the same, and they are both at their peak and supreme. But now, the soul has become stronger again, and it seems that it is going to surpass the desire to repair internal obstacles. The percussion sounds continued, with a strange rhythm, and Lin Moyu listened with great enjoyment. What's this? The eyes of the dead were always open, and he suddenly saw some unusual situations. Under the grassland, soul fire suddenly appeared. These soul fires are very weak, like a newborn baby. In terms of strength, they cannot even reach the super god realm. But after the soul fire appeared, along with the sound of knocking, it began to turn fishy quickly. After just 10 sounds, the soul broke through to the super god realm. Then these soul fires continued to grow stronger and stronger. Not only that, the destroyed green grass on the grassland also grew wildly at this moment, and Qinyuan quickly returned to summer as before. The percussion became tighter and the fire of the soul grew stronger. Lin Moyu's soul also became stronger amidst the percussion, and he felt that his soul might be able to break through. I am about to break through to the Heavenly Lord. When my soul reaches the Heavenly Lord, it will pave the way for me to reach the Heavenly Lord. Such a breakthrough comes too easily. I didn't expect that I would break through here. But why do I feel something is wrong? Lin Moyu vaguely felt something was wrong. This breakthrough came too easily. From the supreme to the heavenly, it is a big hurdle, and those who can overcome this hurdle are only 1 in 1,000. There used to be so many supreme beings in the great world, but there were only a handful of heavenly beings. He felt that although his soul had become stronger, some things seemed to be disappearing. But neither the World Tree nor the Shirkai Dragon Soul Crystal responded, seemingly unaware of the danger. No. There must be something wrong. Lin Moyu forced herself to calm down, and various situations flashed through her mind instantly. He thought of everything after entering this Fanta space. Lightning and thunder rumbled in his soul, and countless thunderbolts came and went according to Lin Moyu's will. Click! Lin Moyu suddenly woke up. No, this thing is harmful. He thought about the danger. Although all the creatures here were powerful, they had no wisdom. At best there is just some instinct. Lin Moyu looked calmly. I know the reason. Although these sounds can make the soul stronger, they will erase the spiritual wisdom, leaving only instinct. Exchange the foundation for realm, drink poison to quench thirst, and put the cart before the horse. Lin Moyu raised his head suddenly and looked towards the top of the mountain. With his eyesight functioning to the extreme, Lin Moyu could faintly see what seemed to be a huge shadow on the top of the mountain. The sound comes from this shadow. In his feeling, the knocking sounds accumulated together, like a hand constantly raising the height of his soul. As the knocks continued to accumulate, the hand became stronger and stronger, pushing the soul upward. While elevating the soul, it also affects wisdom. No matter what it is, get out of here. Lin Moyu roared out, his soul surged wildly, and the world tree and the colorful dragon soul crystal also erupted. The 10-color dragon soul crystal sprays out dragon breath to purify the soul. There were traces of strange substances in his soul that were expelled, and Lin Moyu felt that his newly elevated soul realm quickly fell back to its original state. As the realm falls, the soul becomes pure and the thinking becomes clearer and clearer. The greatest function of the 10-color dragon soul crystal is to purify the soul. The presence of the dragon soul crystal, although it cannot improve the level of cultivation, can make the soul pure. Lin Moyu knew very well that the purer the soul, the better it would be for future development. Especially after the Saint Realm, there is a big difference between whether there is a dragon soul crystal or not. It's just that it's not easy to obtain dragon soul crystal. Even if it's a dragon clan, not every dragon can create dragon soul crystal. The dragon soul crystal is very useful, not to mention that he owns an unprecedented variety of colorful dragon soul crystals. At this moment, I finally experienced the wonders of the dragon soul crystal. The soul is purified in the dragon's breath, without any impurities anymore, and is even purer than before. His thoughts were clearer than ever before, and Lin Moyu figured out the cause and effect. He understood why the creatures here were extremely powerful but without wisdom. Their strength comes from the sound of knocking, and their wisdom is lost from it. There are gains and there are losses, this is the Tao. Tao is fair and follows cause and effect. It is impossible to only gain without giving. Lin Moyu gave up his gains and stopped giving. The knocking sound continued, and Lin Moyu chose to enter the mountain at this moment. He ran towards the top of the mountain quickly without any scruples. He discovered that when the knocking sound continued, all living creatures would fall into a strange state. This state is like sleeping, and no longer cares about the outside world. Lin Moyu also took this opportunity and rushed towards the top of the mountain. With the eyes of the undead open, he avoided each living creature. Although these guys would not attack him now, he still didn't want to touch them if he could. He was not afraid of 10,000, just in case. Lin Moyu also discovered that several soul fires were also moving quickly, and each soul fire represented a deity. Looks like I'm not the only smart one. Lin Moyu thought in his heart that although he didn't know who those people were, they must be people like himself who came here holding the World Sea token. Lin Moyu never thought that he was unique. He believed that there would be many people as smart as him. He kept climbing to the top of the mountain and forest at a very fast speed, but there was someone faster than him. While Lin Moyu was still halfway up the mountain, dragon roars suddenly sounded from the top of the mountain. There was anger in the dragon's roar, and it was obvious that the dragons of the dragon clan were very excited at this moment. Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat. The dragon clan is fighting. Who are the dragons fighting with? Those who enter here are nothing more than the human race, the demon race, the Zerg race, and the Baichao alliance. In the face of interests, anyone has a possibility. Immediately afterwards, a sharp and unpleasant sound sounded from the top of the mountain. Lin Moyu immediately knew who the dragon clan's opponent was, and it was the Zerg clan. A battle broke out between the Dragon Clan and the Zerg Clan on the top of the mountain. The battle was extremely fierce. Dragon roars exploded and countless boulders rolled down from the top of the mountain. The boulder killed countless trees. If it were normal, it would have aroused the hostility of the creatures in the forest. But now the knocking sounds are non-stop, and these creatures are in a subtle state and do not appear to be awake. The most important thing is that the damaged flowers, plants, and trees also recovered quickly amidst the sound of knocking. Lin Moyu speeded up the mountain. He didn't know why the knocking sound would stop. He wanted to reach the top of the mountain as soon as possible before the knocking sound stopped. As he got closer and closer to the top of the mountain, the knocking sounds became more intensive, hitting Lin Moyu like a substance, forming an inexplicable pressure. I'm not the only one climbing the mountain, there are other deities as well. The Dragon Clan and the Zerg Clan are already at the top of the mountain. They are fighting each other. Apart from the previous deep hatred, there may be other reasons. The knocking sound came from the top of the mountain. I guess these people can also guess that there is a rare treasure on the top of the mountain, and they all want to get it. If you can master this treasure and use it in your own world, you will have a great advantage in the world war. Lin Moyu quickly analyzed it and analyzed the function of this treasure from just a preliminary sense. He believed that those heavenly lords could also analyze the treasure's function, so they also wanted to get this treasure. Of course, whether you can get it in the end depends on your strength. When Lin Moyu walked 2/3 of the way, the knocking began to slow down. Stop! Lin Moyu looked towards the top of the mountain. Once the knocking stopped, all the creatures in the mountain forest would wake up, and he would be surrounded by them. He saw that some of the other Tianzans also began to speed up, and they were obviously aware of this. However, the space here is too limited and it is not easy to increase the speed. Some even use secret techniques to make themselves faster. Lin Moyu's consciousness flashed, and the wings of the undead unfolded, flying close to the ground with Lin Moyu, and flew towards the top of the mountain. Each of the deities are using their own methods to speed up the mountain. The knocking sound became slower and slower, the sound became softer and softer, and the scope of influence quickly narrowed. Suddenly there was a scream. There was a middle-level heavenly lord who fell behind and was suddenly attacked. A soul fire was extinguished on the spot. Hearing the scream, Lin Moyu's expression changed, his wings of the undead vibrated rapidly, and his speed increased again. Soul power is consumed at any cost. As long as Wings of the Dead has enough soul power, its speed can continue to increase without an upper limit. It's a pity that the law of space cannot be used here, otherwise it wouldn't be so troublesome at all. Screams were heard again, and the creatures in the dense forest were waking up. They seemed to be surrounded by all outsiders. A deity was attacked and flew into the air. Then a breeze blew by, and the body and soul were blown to pieces silently. The breeze in the sky is more terrifying than the creatures in the mountains and forests. Someone activated the Jiahai Ling and left under the protection of the Jiahai Ling. The screams are like an urging sound, urging people in the mountains and forests. If they slow down, they will die. Lin Moyu swept through the mountains and forests, and wherever he looked, everyone was rushing on their way. I am not the fastest one, I can only rank in the middle. We should be able to make it there. 7 or 80 Lin Moyu thought in his mind. Based on the current situation, he should be able to reach the top of the mountain before the knocking sound ends. This mountain is very strange. Only when you enter it will you know how big it is. From the outside, you can see the top of the mountain. But once you enter it, you will find that there is another space inside. The height of the mountains and forests is simply unimaginable. Otherwise, with the speed of Lin Moyu and the other heavenly lords, no matter how high the mountain is, they will be able to climb it. The knocking sound is still slowing down, and more people are activating the Jiahai order to return. Suddenly, the knocking sound disappeared. Lin Moyu's expression suddenly changed. According to his calculations, the knocking sound could last for at least another minute. Why did it suddenly disappear? This minute, for him, was a matter of life and death. He felt soul fire rising around him, and several powerful wills locked onto him. These creatures in the mountains and forests, with instinctive cruelty, have an emotionless killing intent. Without thinking too much, the immortal flames exploded, and a skeleton king emerged. To strike first is the strongest, the skeleton king takes the lead in killing them, the world of rules rises, and the bone slayer god swings out. Lin Moyu completed a series of operations in an instant and successfully attracted the other party's attention. These creatures immediately launched an attack on the skeleton king. The attacks fell one after another, and the skeleton king died on the spot. Lin Moyu knew very well that only the low-level skeleton king could not block the opponent's attack. The role of the skeleton king is to buy time for himself. In an instant, more than half of the dozens of skeleton kings were killed, and each creature revealed its true face. Some of them are common creatures, such as wolves and dogs, but with fish scales. There are also mantises that also have fish scales, and there are even mice that are taller than humans, but their lower bodies look like crabs. Every creature is unique, but they all have something to do with the sea. Lin Moyu's heart moved, and the skeleton god general flew out. Because the skeleton king was present, the skeleton god general inherited the skeleton king's skills and wielded his sword to kill the god of bones. The bone slayer god used by the skeleton god general is not very powerful, but the advantage is that it is completely locked and cannot be evaded, and there are many skeleton god generals. Those creatures were attracted by the skeleton god general again and began to attack the skeleton god general. Lin Moyu commanded the skeleton god general to disperse, delaying as much time as possible while he continued to fly upward. The skeleton god will loyally command the orders and constantly attack these spirits. Lin Moyu took the opportunity and walked away. Soon, he had covered the 1-minute distance, and he finally reached the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain was shrouded in a strange aura. When Lin Moyu entered here, he knew that the beasts in the forest would not chase him. This is indeed the case. From the moment Lin Moyu entered the top of the mountain, all those who were in danger receded like a tide. Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief, finally up. A gust of fragrant wind hit me, and a soft and sweet voice came to my ears. "Little friend Lin, I didn't expect to meet here. It's such a fate." Lin Moyu smiled and said, "Press before you cross the land." Lu Fengyao chuckled and said, "We are destined to meet each other. Little Yu Lin doesn't need to be called a senior. If you don't mind, just call me sister." Lin Moyu was also polite. "Thank you, Sister Fengyao, for your love." After changing their names, the relationship between the two became much closer. Lu Fengyao smiled sweetly and said, "Little brother Lin is really interesting. To be here, his strength is really extraordinary." Lin Moyu smiled and said, "I'm just lucky. Unlike my sister, who relied on strength to get here." Lu Fengyao smiled sweetly. "I didn't expect that little brother Lin is also a first-rate flatterer, but the slave family likes to hear it." Of course Lin Moyu knew that she didn't really like to hear flattery. A high-level Tianzuan, with a strong Taoist heart, nothing more than mere flattery. It's just that she is giving herself face. Lu Fengyao would look up to her because she had reached the supreme realm. Lin Moyu looked around. This platform was huge and the entire space had been expanded. There was a whistling wind on the top of the mountain, but it wasn't the kind of deadly breeze. On the other side of the platform, Lin Siwu saw several dragons from the dragon clan. There were 10 divine dragons when they came, but now there are only 7 left, and I don't know where the other 3 are going. On the other side is the Zerg. Of the 5 Zerg personnel who came, only 3 are left, and 2 are missing. Several divine dragons stared at the Zerg coldly with hatred and anger, but did not take action. The moment the knocking stopped, their battle with the Zerg stopped. Lin Moyu asked in a low voice, "Sister Fengyao, do you know what's going on?" Lu Fengyao shook his head. "The new family has just arrived here and can't sleep well. But I guess it has something to do with the altar in the center." In the center of the platform, an altar stood. There seemed to be nothing on the altar, but Lin Yu knew it couldn't be that simple. When I was at the foot of the mountain before, I saw a shadow on the top of the mountain. That shadow should be caused by the altar. More and more people are walking through the mountains and forests and entering the platform. These people all have their own means to control the creatures in the mountains and forests. Those who can come here are all strong. When they saw Lin Moyu, whether they were human or demon, they all showed a little surprise. They don't understand how a peak supreme person can come here. There were so many dangers along the way, any one of them could kill Lin Moyu. At the same time, they were also wary. Coming here meant that Lin Moyu must have some tricks they didn't understand. The eyes of those people from the human race flickered slightly, and it was very complicated and they couldn't tell whether it was Jiang Tomu or jealousy. Especially those from the demon clan, they have naked murderous intent. The Dragon Clan stared at the Zerg clan and showed no concern for Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu asked strangely, how dangerous are the people from the Baichao Alliance? Lu Fengyao said casually, they are actually not suitable to come here. I guess they have already gone back to 2.2, and they are just going through the motions. Lin Moyu frowned. If that's the case, why do they come to participate in the Jihai Order? Lu Fengyao smiled sweetly. Don't you understand this? The content of the Jihai Order is different every time. Sometimes there is no need to rush at all. As long as you don't rush, the people of the Baichao Alliance can exert great combat power. Even if the Dragon Clan gets angry, they should stay away. Lin Moyu smiled and said, Sister Fengyao has participated in the World Sea Order more than once. Lu Fengyao shook his head. This is my first time, but it doesn't matter. Our Chamber of Commerce has information about the Jihai Ling. If Brother Lin needs it, you can get it by spending some money. At this time, Lu Fengyao whispered again, Brother Lin, you have to be careful. I think everyone from the Demon Clan is targeting you. Yao Yao smiled slightly at the meeting and said, with Sister Fengyao here, they can't do anything to me. Lu Fengyao was amused by Lin Moyu's words. Little Brother Lin's mouth is so sweet. My sister likes to hear it. Let's talk more about it in the future. Lin Moyu could tell that the delicate Lu Fengyao's strength was top-notch even among the high-level deities. Cheng Hongguang, who was killed by him, was not as good as Lu Fengyao in terms of strength alone. Moreover, Lu Fengyao was born in the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce, which was a big force in the original continent, and there would definitely be no shortage of magic weapons in his hands. Among high-level Tianzuan, if there are one or two powerful magic weapons, the combat power will change dramatically. As poor as Cheng Hongguang, he doesn't even have a decent magic weapon in his hand. No matter how strong he is, it is nothing among the high-level gods. Since Lu Fengyao is here, Lin Moyu can flatter him twice and take advantage of the situation, so there will be no problem. Lu Fengyao moved lightly and stood in front of Lin Moyu, with a smile on her face. Dear friends of the Demon Clan, if you have something you can't get over, you can fight with me. Actually, I also want to see the secret techniques of my demon friends. As she spoke, a jade bead appeared in her hand. This jade bead exudes an astonishing aura, and there is light flowing on it. You can tell it is an extraordinary treasure at a glance. Several Demon Clan heavenly lords were also those who recognized the goods. Someone growled, the best magic weapon of the heavenly lord realm. Their eyes flickered and they turned their heads, ignoring Lu Fengyao. Seeing how they were gnashing their teeth, but helpless, Lin Moyu knew that the best magic weapons in the Tianzuan realm must be very rare. Even if these monsters have backgrounds, they can't just come up with magic weapons of this level, otherwise Lu Fengyao wouldn't be able to shock them. Finally, a Tianzuan who was born in the Tricolor Lion clan said in a deep voice, you can only protect me for a while, but what can you do when the world is at war? Lu Fengyao smiled and said, then you have nothing to do with it. The world's war has its own rules. And here, with this young lady here, you all should be honest and content. The jade beads in her hand were activated with her words, and the jade beads bloomed with beautiful light, and powerful pressure swept over the entire audience. This pressure was so powerful that Lin Moyu felt that he was only a little weaker than Dao Zun. This jade bead is not an ordinary magic weapon. It has brought infinite joy to the Lord. Who is Lu Fengyao, and why does he suddenly defend me like this? Lin Moyu naturally wouldn't think that his weird fart had taken effect. Lu Fengyao must have other ideas when he defends himself like this, but he doesn't know what they are. Faced with Lu Fengyao's strength, several heavenly lords from the Demon Clan chose to retreat temporarily. He was not afraid of Lu Fengyao, but afraid of the magic weapon in Lu Fengyao's hand. The Lufeng Chamber of Commerce is very wealthy, and God knows if there will be a second or third piece of this magic weapon. The forest has become quiet, which means that there are no longer people in the forest and everyone who should be there has arrived. Among the 7 Dragon Clan members, there are 2 high-level heavenly lords. 3 people from the Zerg tribe, high-ranking Japanese heavenly lords. There are 21 demon clan members and 7 high-level heavenly lords. There are 22 people in the human race, and there are also 7 high-level Tianzuan. Lin Moyu is the only one in the Supreme Realm who is the most special. At this time, a high-ranking heavenly lord from the human race walked toward the altar. In an instant, everyone's attention was attracted to him. Everyone present knew that this altar was not simple, but no one could comment on what was not simple about it. When he came to the altar, nothing happened. In front of him, there were 18 steps. As long as you step on the steps, you can walk to the altar. When he stepped onto the first step, a breeze blew, his expression changed drastically, and he quickly retreated. But he still took a step slower, and the breeze blew over his body. Screams rang out, and half of the body turned into powder, dripping with blood. He quickly took out a pill and threw it into his mouth. His whole body shone brightly, and his injuries quickly recovered. The half of his body that was blown away recovered as before in just a few seconds. The high-level heavenly lord changed into a clean one and looked calm as usual, as if nothing had happened. However, Lin Moyu felt it from his eyes. In fact, he was scared to death just now, but now he was pretending to be calm and wanted to save face. With his example in front of us, everyone knows that this altar cannot be climbed. Lu Fengyao said softly, "I'm afraid only the Dragon Clan and the Zerg Clan know how to get to the altar. They got there one step earlier than us." Lin Moyu nodded. When the knocking sound sounded before, the Dragon Clan and the Zerg Clan fought hard, and then the knocking sound stopped, and they also spread the news. I guess you can only go to the altar when there is a knocking sound. And only then, no matter how we fight, we won't cause attacks from the creatures in the mountains and forests. Lin Moyu's words made Lu Fengyao's beautiful eyes shine. Little brother Lin's analysis is good, and his thoughts are exactly the same as my sister's. Lin Moyu asked, "Sister Fengyao, when did you come to this space? You have heard several knocking sounds." Lu Fengyao said, "I came here a few days ago and only heard about it once." Lin Mo said, "This sound seems to lift the soul and make sleepy eyes obliterate the phoenix." Lu Fengyao nodded, "Yes, but as long as the Taoist heart is firm, it will not be affected." Tianzuan's Taoist heart is firm, and except for a few, he is indeed not easily affected. Lin Moyu was not affected, and Lu Fengyao gave him a high look. Lin Moyu thought deeply, "It seems like we can only wait until the knocking sound appears again. But since the dragons and bugs are waiting here, I feel that it won't be long before the next wave of knocking sounds occurs." Lu Fengyao smiled sweetly and said, "Brother Lin and his sister want to get together again, so let's do it." "Do you really want to go together?" Looking at Lu Fengyao's appearance, Lin Moyu didn't bother to care whether it was true or not, just say it was. Lin Moyu asked in a low voice, "Sister Fengyao, do you know what the breeze was like just now? How could it be so terrifying?" Lu Fengyao whispered, "If I read correctly, it should be Dao Feng." Dao Feng? This was the first time Lin Moyu heard this word. Lu Fengyao explained, "Tao Zun activates the power of the avenue, and the wind blown out has the power to destroy the heaven and the earth. But this Dao Feng is so terrifying, I'm afraid it's not as simple as an ordinary Dao Feng. If it's just an ordinary Dao wind, with the power of the Dragon Clan's divine dragon, it will definitely be able to block it in a short time." What Lu Fengyao said was clear and logical, so Lin Moyu naturally chose to believe it. The wind blown out by Tao Zun using the power of the Great Road can be so terrifying. Think about it, your own elemental lich can also activate the power of the Dao, but its power is far behind that of the Dao Zun. If you can get a Taoist realm material or magic weapon, summon 943 to summon the elemental lich, and then activate the power of the Tao, it is estimated that the power can be greatly enhanced. Lu Fengyao looked at the altar and said to himself, "I don't know if I can block the wind." Lin Moyu was shocked. Lu Fengyao said this very casually, but it made Lin Moyu realize that Lu Fengyao's strength might be beyond his imagination. She first thought that the dragon from the dragon tribe couldn't do it, but she thought she might be able to do it, which showed that she had the confidence to surpass the dragon from the dragon tribe. In the same realm, the Dragon Clan is almost invincible. Lu Fengyao is so confident, which means that Lu Fengyao's trump card is far more terrifying than imagined. How rich is the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce? What kind of status does Lu Fengyao have in the Chamber of Commerce? At this time, someone else walked towards the altar. This time, it was because of the high-level Heavenly Lord of the Celestial Clan. Although he is in human form, he has a curved horn on his forehead, which is the iron armor of the Demon Clan. The true body is similar to a rhinoceros, and in terms of defensive power alone, it is one of the best among the Demon Clan. He came to the altar, looked up to the sky, and roared. Throwing away the human form, revealing his true body, covered with a layer of iron armor. He raised his defense to the extreme and then stepped onto the steps. He is very careful and only cares about it. A breeze blows, and the armor gleams. The shimmer of light blows on the armor, making a metallic collision sound. Blocked. Everyone was shocked, but they didn't expect Jingren to block it. The Demon Clan's heavenly beings all looked happy. Lin Moyu noticed a trace of disdain in Lu Fengyao's eyes. Not only her, but the high-level Heavenly Lord of the Dragon Clan also had disdain. The breeze kept hitting the armor, making a clanking sound. He was cautious and did not continue upwards, but adjusted to the breeze. Lu Fengyao whispered, "His name is Typhon. His status in the clan is not low, and his strength is not bad. It's a pity that his brain is not very good." Lin Moyu couldn't help but laugh. "You are already a high-level Heavenly Lord. Will your brain still be hard to use?" Lu Fengyao smiled and said, "The cultivation of the Demon Clan is different from ours. Some of their abilities come from blood inheritance. There seems to be something wrong with the blood inheritance of the Iron Armor series. Their heads are not very good anyway." Lin Moyu thought of the knocking sound that appeared before. Although it could improve his realm, it would erase his intelligence. If bloodline inheritance has brought many benefits to the Iron Armor series, it may also have some drawbacks. Lu Fengyao continued, "If I guess correctly, the higher the altar goes, the more difficult it will be. He won't be able to walk a few steps." Lin Moyu also felt that this should be the case. Although Taifeng's defense was strong, its ability to survive was comparable to that of the Dragon Clan. If the dragon can't go up, it's impossible for him to go up. If he can go up, then the Dragon Clan should not be below, but on top of the sacrificial jar. In fact, from Lin Moyu's point of view, Typhon didn't even need to try. It was meaningless. Sure enough, it's just like what Lu Fengyao said, his head is not in good condition. After Typhon adapted for a while, he took another step up and stepped onto the second step. The sound of impact suddenly became denser, and Typhon's body swayed, but he still stood firm. He adapted again for a while and took the third step. In an instant, his face suddenly changed, and his armor turned into powder silently, followed by his body. He retreated crazily, even more embarrassed than the high-level Heavenly Lord from the human race just now. When he stepped back, half of his body was gone, and blood from his internal organs was flowing all over the floor. The blood of Tianzuan contains powerful power, enough to crush the stars. But when it landed on the top of the mountain, it was quickly absorbed by the earth. He took out the elixir, ate it, and began to recover. Physical injuries are nothing to Tianzuan, and they are not difficult to repair. It is just that the new body will take some time to reach the previous level. Tiefeng's failure has long been expected by many people and is not surprising. However, everyone is becoming more and more wary of the altar, and everyone is thinking about how to get on the altar. Lin Moyu looked at the ground with thoughtful eyes. Lu Fengyao noticed Lin Moyu's abnormality. "Have you discovered anything?" Lin Mo said, "When the earth is absorbing blood, something seems wrong." "Is something wrong?" Lu Fengyao did not observe as carefully as Lin Moyu, and found nothing. The previous human celestial being and the current Typhon, their blood will be quickly absorbed after it falls on the ground. During this short process, some textures will appear on the ground. Lin Moyu compared and combined the two lines before and after, and felt vaguely that this line looked familiar. After thinking for a moment, I finally remembered where I had seen similar lines. I saw similar patterns in a fishbone I obtained. There are special patterns on each fishbone, and these patterns are different. Lin Moyu now has 4 fish bones in his hand, and the police officer has 4 different patterns. The 4 patterns may seem different, but some of them are similar. Lin Moyu took out a fishbone and looked at the pattern on the fishbone. He was 100% sure that there were patterns similar to the fishbone hidden under the earth. Many things can be inferred from this. Suddenly, he felt many eyes falling on him. There are people from the demon race and the human race who are looking at me. Some of the eyes showed greed and some envy. This made Lin Moyu realize that some people present might not have gotten the fish bones. Lu Fengyao whispered, "What are you doing? Don't you understand that wealth should not be revealed?" Lin Moyu did not listen to her words and put away the fish bones, but he said, "It's just a fish bone, it's not necessary." Lu Fengyao covered his head. The fish bones can be exchanged for rewards from the King of the Boundary Sea. The King of the Boundary Sea has countless good things, and the fish bones are very valuable. Lin Mo said, "Anyway, they have already seen it, and it is too late to put it away now. What's more, with Sister Fengyao here, they don't dare to snatch it." Lu Fengyao was defeated by Lin Moyu. "Even if I want to protect you, there are so many people, and I may not be able to protect you. If it doesn't work, you should activate the World Sea Order and go back. It's no longer safe here." Lin Moyu shook his head and said, "I have used the Jiahai token once before. Something happened at that time. The Jiahai token is recovering and cannot be used for the time being. And Sister Fengyao will definitely not let anything happen to me. If that doesn't work, I'll give the fish bones to Sister Fengyao. I believe they won't dare to snatch Sister Fengyao's things." Lu Fengyao's eyes widened. "You are joking." Lin Moyu smiled and said, "I'm not kidding." After saying that, he threw the fish bones to Lu Fengyao. Lu Fengyao took the fish bones. At this moment, she was sure that Lin Moyu was not joking. Her eyes are a little complicated, and the fish bones are extremely valuable. "It's expensive, so you just said it would be a gift?" Lin Moyu knew very well that if the fish bones were in his hands, they would be a hot potato, and he would be targeted by many people. Same. If it were in the hands of Lu Fengyao, it would have no meaning at all. With Lu Fengyao's identity and strength, anyone who wants to snatch anything from her has to weigh it carefully. And Lin Moyu also has his own ideas. It seems that the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce currently has great influence on the Origin continent. As for Lu Fengyao, her status in the Lu Fengyao Chamber of Commerce. It shouldn't be easy. If you build a good relationship with her, it might be helpful for you to step into the Origin continent in the future. Giving her fish bones can be considered an investment. The most important thing is Lu Fengyao's character. Lin Moyu believes that she will not let herself suffer. No matter from any aspect, giving the fish bones to Lu Fengyao is the best choice. Sure enough, after giving the fish bone to Lu Fengyao, many people's attention was diverted from him. Lu Fengyao's beautiful eyes widened. "Why, do you want to snatch something from my aunt?" The high-level Tianzuan's aura was raging, and many people were swept away by Lu Fengyao's gaze and avoided it. Lu Fengyao put the fish bones away and snorted softly, "If you want to rob it, you can do it. My aunt will kill it but not bury it." Looking at the extremely powerful Lu Fengyao, Lin Moyu could see a bit of Lin Mohan. Lin Mo said, "Sister Fengyao, would you like to accompany me? This kind of good woman is not easy to mess with." Lin Mo said, "I'm not sure yet, I'll have to wait and see." Lu Fengyao whispered, "Did you discover something?" Lu Fengyao readily agreed, "You go, I'll follow." Lin Moyu walked forward and came to the altar, with Lu Fengyao following beside him as if he was a guard. Ear. Lin Moyu's actions once again attracted everyone's attention. What is he going to do? Is he going to sacrifice the jar? A mere supreme being at the pinnacle has already had great luck to be able to come here, and he actually wants to go to the sacrificial jar. I really don't know how high the sky is and how high it is. I don't know how I can die. Everyone wanted to see Lin Moyu's joke and see how he died. Unfortunately, Lin Moyu didn't want to go to the altar and stopped when he came to the steps. He squatted in front of the steps, stretched out his hand, and gently touched the edge of the steps. A drop of blood flowed from his fingertips and fell onto the steps. The angle chosen by Lin Moyu was very special, right in the blind spot of most people's sight. Moreover, Lu Fengyao was by his side, blocking the last bit of perspective. No one saw what Lin Moyu did. What others could see was Lin Moyu squatting beside the altar, not knowing what he was doing. Lu Fengyao saw all Lin Moyu's movements clearly, but she also didn't understand what Lin Moyu was doing. For some reason, Lu Fengyao had an inexplicable sense of trust in Lin Moyu. This sense of trust had nothing to do with realm, but more from the sixth sense. She felt that Lin Yu must have seen something. Lin Moyu saw that his essence and blood were absorbed, and the lines were revealed again. They were revealed for a moment, and then disappeared again. The blood essence is different from the previous two people. When they are injured, only blood spurts out, not blood essence. A cultivator has a limited amount of essence and blood, and it will not be damaged easily. Essence and blood not only contain huge power, but most importantly, contain a trace of soul. For Lin Moyu, he could have as much essence and blood as he wanted without fear of loss. Lin Moyu saw that his blood essence was indeed having some effect, so he continued to squeeze out the blood essence, and it continued to fall on the steps. Gradually, he felt a mysterious connection between himself and the altar. The picture in Lin Moyu's sight changed strangely. He seemed to be high in the sky, looking down at the altar. A man wearing a black robe appeared in sight. He stood on the top of the mountain, waved his hand, and the altar was formed. After the altar was formed, he waved his hand and splashed ink in the air, outlining countless lines to form a mysterious pattern. The pattern is too complex, it seems like a rune, but it goes beyond a thorn rune. Lin Moyu's soul was shocked when he saw it, and he could only barely write down part of it. The pattern was drawn in an instant, and the man's fingers reached the sky. The wind is coming. A strong wind suddenly rises amidst the sound of gentle shouting, and the layers of wind are clearly differentiated in their rapidity and slowness. He took out another object and threw it into the altar. Lin Moyu saw that this item was a fish bone, a sword-shaped fish bone, which should be the backbone of a large fish. For example, the swordfish bones are also engraved with complex patterns, which complement the patterns on the altar. The fish bones were inserted into the altar, and the previously carved lines shone brightly, blowing up massive winds. The strong wind blew on the fish bones, making a thumping sound. The soul was shaken again, and Lin Moyu felt that the level of his soul was about to rise rapidly, directly to the level of the Heavenly Lord. Stop! Lin Moyu shouted softly in his heart. The 10-color dragon soul crystal let out a dragon roar, and the picture in front of him disappeared instantly. Lin Moyu's body trembled, and he suddenly woke up. Lu Fengyao asked, "What happened?" Just now she saw Lin Moyu suddenly stop moving. She didn't know what happened, but she didn't bother Lin Liu. With a hint of shock in Lin Moyu's eyes, he said via voice transmission, "I seem to know what's going on with the altar." Lu Fengyao raised her beautiful eyes. "Tell me in detail." Lin Moyu told what he saw, and Lu Fenglian couldn't help but frown after listening. She whispered, "I've always thought there was something weird about this altar, but I can't think of anything wrong with it for the time being." Lin Moyu asked, "I think the problem may lie in the sword-shaped fish bone, and the altar is just a tool to carry the fish bone. Sister Fengyao, do you know what the pattern on the fish bone is?" "Something?" Lu Fengyao looked at Lin Moyu, seeming to be examining something, her eyes slightly dark. Lin Moyu knew what he said would make her think, and said directly, "Sister Fengyao, you don't have to think too much. I am indeed not from a big family, so I don't know many things. If he was from a big family, there would be family inheritance. You should be able to recognize the pattern on this fish bone." Lu Fengyao was not stupid. From his words, he could naturally guess that there was no family inheritance behind him. Lu Fengyao shook her jade head gently. "I'm a little surprised." You can get here without any family inheritance. How deep your luck must be. These patterns are called Tao patterns, and they are patterns belonging to Tao Zun. You will understand the details when you reach the Tao Zun realm. Just remember, if you don't reach the Taoist level, don't study these patterns. It's meaningless. If you have bad luck, it will come back to bite you, and the gains outweigh the losses. Tao pattern, the pattern of Tao Zun. Lin Moyu remembered it. No wonder he couldn't understand it before. It turned out that it belonged to Taoist master. In this way, the person who made this altar and drew the pattern below is also Tao Zun. But why did he do this? Tao Zun cannot be idle and bored. There must be a reason for coming here to build an altar. Every once in a while, there will be a knocking sound from the altar, and the knocking sound will spread throughout the entire continent and into the ocean. Amidst the sound of knocking, the cultivation levels of a large number of creatures rapidly increased, reaching the level of high-level heavenly lord. The price you have to pay is to lose your spiritual wisdom and become an important monk who acts like a monk. But it doesn't matter, they are beasts in the first place, and to them, these costs are nothing at all. Lin Moyu did not continue to explore the root cause. He left the altar and quietly waited for the next operation of the altar. After the scene just now, Lin Moyu already knew that the altar would rotate every once in a while. Moreover, after the altar absorbed his own essence and blood, it has a mysterious connection with himself, and some wonderful things may happen by then. Time passed by, and everyone was silent. Except for Lin Moyu, all the people present were Tianzuan. For Tianzuan, one retreat and one meditation lasted hundreds and thousands of years. A few days is nothing to them. It became very quiet on the top of the mountain, and occasional sounds came from the mountains and forests. There were animals fighting in the mountains and forests, and there was a lot of noise. The whole mountain seemed to be shaking, but this mountain was very special and was not affected at all. On the sixth day, a force suddenly emerged from the altar. Lin Moyu has always maintained a mysterious connection with the altar. He was the first to feel that the altar was being activated. Coming soon. As the altar began to move, everyone felt their bodies sinking, as if an unmanned hand was pressing on them. At the same time, everyone feels that they are isolated from the outside world and can no longer sense the outside world. Someone suddenly shouted, "No, the Jiahai order is invalid." In an instant, everyone's expression changed, and they took out the Jiahai Ling one after another, and found that the Jiahai Ling had become dim, and had really lost its effect. Lin Moyu also took out the Jiahai Ling and found that the Jiahai Ling, which was originally in a state of recovery, stopped recovering at this moment. There is an invisible force that locks the Jiahai order, making it unable to function. Lin Moyu looked at the dragons of the dragon tribe. They were not surprised at all. Obviously, they knew what was going on. After all, they had experienced it once. In this case, there is no need to worry, just watch quietly. Anyway, I couldn't use the Jiahai order in the first place, and it's the same now. The activation level of the altar is getting higher and higher, and everyone feels like they are getting heavy from the fighting. Soon, a fish bone appeared in the altar, a sword-shaped fish bone. Half of the fish bones are inserted into the altar, and the other half is exposed. The moment the fish bones appeared, a thud spread throughout the world. At the same time, the space on the top of the mountain was rapidly enlarged, at least 10,000 times, and became extremely empty. A strong wind blew in the sky, with strong winds like clouds and fog, layer upon layer. The dragon clan let out a dragon roar and immediately started to kill the Zerg clan. The Zerg race seemed to have been prepared for a long time and did not show any weakness at all. The insect nest unfolded and countless flying insects flew out of it. The wind blows on the fish bones, making a knocking sound. In the sound, everyone's souls were shaking. In Lin Moyu's soul world, the colorful dragon souls. Crystal exhales dragon breath to purify the soul and keep it pure. The mountain forest became completely quiet, and all living creatures fell into a strange state, as if they were sleeping. The Dragon Clan and the Zerg Clan started fighting almost at the same time and fought together. No matter how the two sides fight to the death at this moment, all movements will not affect the mountains and forests. In the sound of knocking, all the strong wind was swept away by the fish bones. At this moment, someone realized that it was time to go to the altar. All the deities acted at the same time and rushed to the altar. There was a strong wind in the sky, and they did not dare to fly or even jump too high, so they could only run on the ground. Lu Fengyao whispered, "Brother Lin, I'm afraid there will be chaos soon. I may not be able to take care of you. You have to be careful." She was telling the truth. No one knew what would happen next. In the chaos, she was not completely sure to protect Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu smiled and said, "Sister Fengyao, don't worry, I will be fine. You have to be careful too." Lu Fengyao nodded slightly, "Then let's go." The two of them rushed towards the altar at the same time, but they were a step too late. When they took action, someone had already arrived at the altar. "Get ready and take the steps to the altar." The original breeze did not appear, and the man looked happy. "It's okay." After the altar was activated, the fish bones swept away the wind, and there was no wind on the steps. With joy, he continued upward. Seeing that he was fine, the other heavenly lords couldn't wait to step onto the steps. Everyone rushed to the altar, and it seemed that whoever rushed to the altar first would gain the greatest benefits. Lin Moyu was not in a hurry. He knew it was not that simple. Moreover, the state of these Tianzuan is a bit strange, and they seem to be affected. Looking at Lu Fengyao again, Lu Fengyao's eyes also showed some inexplicable changes, and she seemed a little anxious. Lin Moyu's heart skipped a beat. This altar will affect people's minds. The state of the heavenly lords at this moment is definitely not normal, and they should not be so anxious. Because of the previous experience, he was not affected. The first person to step on the steps walked a third of the way in 2 or 3 steps. When he stepped onto the 7th step, his body suddenly tilted and half of his body turned into powder. He fell down with screams and quickly took out the elixir and drank it to rebuild his body. His appearance made everyone freeze on the spot, and all of a sudden those who were scrambling slowed down. Someone shouted, "Be careful, there is something weird about this altar, it will confuse the mind." Finally, a high-level heavenly lord realized something was wrong and shouted angrily, shocking everyone. Most of the Tianzuan woke up with this sound, but only a few still couldn't keep calm. From this, we can see the state of each person's soul. Lu Fengyao's delicate body trembled, her eyes became clear, she quickly took out the jade beads and activated them, and the jade beads bloomed and enveloped her with light. At this time, she breathed a sigh of relief. Dao Zun's methods are indeed terrible, and he fell into the trap without knowing it. Lin Moyu also smiled and said, "Yes, Dao Zun is indeed scary." Lu Fengyao was suddenly startled. "Are you not affected?" Lin Moyu said softly, "It's okay." Lu Fengyao couldn't help but take another look at Lin Moyu, feeling that this little brother would surprise her at every turn. Although he does not have a background in the Origin Continent, with his talent, once he enters the Origin Continent, he will surely. It can be done. Lu Fengyao had no doubt that Lin Moyu would become a Taoist master in the future, and he would not be an ordinary Taoist master yet. Her mood changed rapidly, and Lin Moyu's status in her mind improved again. The two of them came to the altar. The 18 steps were not high, but they were like a natural chasm, stopping everyone. Dozens of heavenly lords stood in different positions, looking at the fish bones on the altar, which were close at hand but out of reach. Lu Fengyao also looked at the fish bones and said through a message, "The Taoist patterns on it are not simple, they are not those of ordinary Taoists." She has broad knowledge and can recognize at a glance that the Tao patterns on the fish bones are unusual. If they are both Taoist masters, they must be divided into 3, 6, and 9. Wait, the Tao patterns on the fish bones are not from the hands of ordinary Taoists. It is necessary for Tianzuan to take out the puppet at this time and let the puppet explore the path to see what is going on. The puppet stepped onto the 7th step and was blown into pieces by the invisible breeze on the spot. After a while, he took out a second puppet. This time, the puppet successfully stepped onto the 7th step. It turned into a front fan when it reached the 8th step. Using puppets to explore the path made many deities' eyes light up, and others immediately followed suit. Although the puppet is not cheap, it is better than risking your own life to test it. Lin Moyu and Lu Fengyao both stepped onto the steps. The current situation is that there is no need to worry at all, everyone is lining up to test. Only when you are sure it is safe can you dare to continue walking up. When Lin Moyu stepped onto the steps, he paused for a moment and smiled at the corner of his mouth. After the two reached the 7th step, Lin Moyu suddenly said, "Sister Fengyao, I'll take the first step." Then, under Lu Fengyao's shocked eyes, Lin Moyu moved up step by step. The 8th grid, the 9th grid. Lin Moyu walked on flat ground, ignoring the danger. Seeing this, the heavenly lords all exclaimed, "Can you go up? Is there no danger?" Someone followed immediately. There was no danger on the 8th grid, and then the 9th grid. Tianzuan, who was the first to go up, screamed and retreated again. Daofeng is still there, still deadly. There was a deity who did not believe in evil and took a puppet to test. I found that I really couldn't go up. However, Lin Moyu walked straight without any danger. In a blink of an eye, he had reached the 15th square and was about to reach the top. 0-0. Why is he okay? How did he do it? What he did in front of the altar before, he must have tampered with it at that time. He must have discovered something, but we don't know. Everyone looked at Lu Fengyao with evil eyes, as if they were interrogating him. Lu Fengyao snorted coldly on the spot. "What are you looking at? Do you want to practice with your aunt?" A sword cry sounded, and she took out another sharp sword. There was a Tao pattern drawn on the sword. This was a Tao pattern. The magic weapon of Zuanjing. With the Taoist realm magic weapon in hand, Lu Fengyao's aura became less sharp. Protected by jade beads and slaying enemies with swords, Lu Fengyao was not afraid of these heavenly beings at all. Tao Zun realm magic weapon. The Lufeng Chamber of Commerce is really rich and powerful. If you ask for a Taoist realm magic weapon, you can take it out as soon as possible. What is this guy's status in the Lufeng Chamber of Commerce? Why does he even have a Taoist realm magic weapon? Everyone quickly turned their heads, pretending that what just happened didn't happen. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong is vividly displayed at this moment. Lu Fengyao looked at Lin Moyu, who had climbed to the top with complicated eyes. "How did you find out?" Lin Moyu did something right under her nose at that time, squeezed out some blood essence and dripped it into the altar, and even told herself about it afterwards. But I never expected that Lin Moyu could ignore the danger and go straight to the altar. She felt more and more that Lin Moyu was extraordinary, even better than the geniuses she had seen before. It seems that we need to win over Lin Moyu more. Lu Fengyao was secretly thinking in her heart how to win over Lin Moyu.